Dream, I'm back. And so is the cat. Say hi to Kitty. Um, okay, so that was weird. Basically, what ended up happening, so I was supposed to go to an interview. I was supposed to be on the bus for like 5 hours going there and back. And what I ended up realizing after looking at this job description was that it was kind of it wasn't super clear to me on the job description whether they were looking for someone like to do like full-time bookkeeping or if they're looking for someone to do like seasonal tax work. But I ended up kind of reading between the lines enough, I think, and sort of realizing that this read more like a seasonal tax job than it did a bookkeeping job. So I ended up emailing them, and as I was in the subway station, like like literally 30 feet from the entrance, I got a call from the guy that I was talking to, and he was like, "Oh, like you already have a tax seasonal job," and I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Okay, well, give me a call sometime later. Give me a call sometime in like May or something." And I said, "Okay." So that's what we're gonna do. I'll call him back in the future once this contract is up, if it doesn't get extended or renewed or anything like that. Yeah, it was just really funny, like that it happened this way. It's maybe not funny, but I'm so grateful because it's literally the Arctic tundra outside. It's so bloody cold. Like it's actually so cold. Anyway, so now I'm dressed a lot nicer for the camera. I look less like degenerate. Um, and yeah, I'm going to finish up my QuickBooks training because I just want to get that out of the way. Holy moly, kitty cat, what are you doing? You tried to double jump. I think she kind of wants to hang out a bit, but I'll hang out with her after. Anyway, I have to get the QuickBooks thing done, and then I'm going to get the and then I'm gonna check how to record my stuff on the CPA like experience thingy-mabobber, so that I have like practical experience recorded, or at least like how I can record the practical experience. Um, and then yeah, that's kind of the plan for now. We'll see, it might change a little bit, but I have a couple of hours to do this, so that's what I'm gonna do. If I think of something fun to chat about, then maybe I'll pause and have a chat about that. But yeah, it's literally so cold. It's minus 12 degrees Celsius and windy. So it feels more like minus 15 or like even minus 20. And it is a cold minus 20, man. Like, I do not want to be outside longer than I have to today. Um, and I may have to go for a run later. So maybe I should do that too. Maybe I'll do that after this. I'll like limit myself to like about 2 or 2.5 hours. Anyway, yeah, let's get into it. So there it is. Pro advisor. Let's keep her going. We're on reports training. I'm just gonna open up the other tab just so that it doesn't crap out on me. I have to refresh this tab every single time. And I'm also pretty sure it doesn't save any of the progress that I made the last time I opened the sample account. So like every single time I come in here, it's just refreshing it, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's just completely refreshed my progress. I don't think there's a way to like save. I don't think there's a way to save like the sample company account, so that's okay. But let's get into this. I wanna get this done so that I can take that exam and then get like the certificate thingy on my resume.
Reporting is always going to be the result of our bookkeeping or financial transaction record keeping activities. And QBO is absolutely here to help you provide or create the reports that are going to be important for you to analyze the data, describe the data, or share the data with the business owner. So there are a variety of common templates that are already included in your QBO subscription. Of course, different lists or different templates based on the subscription level and the activities, features, and functions that you have activated. Report types may include list types, summaries, or detailed reports. And one of my favorite things is marking a report as a favorite so that I can go into my favorite area, click on the report that I need. I don't need to scroll through that long list of templates that are available. My favorites are at eye level and ready for me to click on them at a moment's notice. Do know that any report or most reports can be customized and scheduled for delivery. So isn't that fun? If you've got monthly reports or maybe a weekly unpaid bills
Yay,
list
I
that needs
love
to go to your
scheduling
customer, or maybe
reports.
a weekly open invoices
I
list that
do
needs to
that
go to your
with
collections
like
department,
web
you can get
development.
those reports customized
I do that with web development analytics.
and scheduled for automatic delivery where you don't have to do the work. QuickBooks is going to take care of that task for you. Do remember or keep in mind that the user's permission level may limit the access to certain reports. So if you have not given a user access to payroll, they will not be able to run or view any of the payroll reports. So you want to be sure that the user permissions are set correctly or appropriately for the user. And as well, you may want to notice or realize that if you're trying to run an inventory report, but you don't have the inventory feature activated, then you're not going to be able to run that report. So if you're looking for something, maybe profit and loss by class, you can't find it, it could be because you have not activated the class function within the software, right? So different report templates are going to be available under different subscription levels. Different report templates are going to be available under different feature activated or inactivated, enabled or disabled features. And user permissions are also going to have that effect and most commonly related to payroll. So let's give you a couple of tips. Before you begin running any report in any of your QBO data files, take a moment and set the standard report default. You can find this from your accountant tools. So go into the QBO file in question, click accountant tools.
I'm worried if I click that. Give me a second. What does that pop up? Okay, accountant tools. What did she want me to do? Report options. Okay, this does not look like it's going to dox me. So this is under accountant tools, report options, and then you get here. And then let's see what she said.
Click the report options and then decide what default that you want. Do you always, when you open up a report, are you constantly changing it to be last month? Are you constantly changing it to say last quarter? What is your most common default report date? Set it up here, right? And once you do that, whenever you open up the standard templates, you're going to view that particular report. So for example, if we set it to last month and I go now into my report list and I
All right, that's fine.
run my reports or my profit and loss report,
Leave it like that.
And suddenly I'm going to see my profit and loss to the end of last month. That is going to save me a ton of time. And here's a great grid for you to have a look at. This is the reporting by subscription level. Do know that Easy Start has up to 57 templates available to you. Essentials has all those 57, and then 29 more to bring it up to 86. The Plus has 106, and Advanced has all of the above, plus a spreadsheet sync and a custom report builder. Now, do know that these template numbers are as at this recording date. There may be more now by the time you come in and have a look at it. So here's a great snapshot as to where you can see which reports are included. So balance sheet, obviously all across the board. A P&L special only in the Plus. And of course, we've got our hyperlink so that you can go ahead and have a look. So we absolutely encourage you to explore the available templates and potentially save yourself hours and hours of exporting to Excel and revising spreadsheets on your own. Let's have a look at the reporting overview. So when you go to your report center, you're going to find 3 tabs or 3 pages. There's the standard, the custom reports section, and the management reports. All reports can be searched, but you can see that you've got, holy smokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different categories or groupings of reports. And that could be complicated to try to sort through that. We absolutely encourage you to use the search functionality here. If you're looking for your trial balance, start typing it. If you're looking for an age summary, start typing it. That can shortcut your list here. As you find reports that you like, you may want to favorite them so that the only section you need to look at is in your favorite tab. There is a reporting overview. There are currently two different reviews or two different types of reports. There is what has now been renamed the classic view, which is the reports that have
Okay, I'm getting distracted.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that could be complicated to try to sort through that. Looking for your trial balance, start typing it. If you're looking for an age summary, start typing it. That can shortcut your list here. As you find reports that you like, you may want to favorite them so that the only section you need to look at is in your favorite tab. There is a reporting overview. There are currently two different reviews or two different types of reports. There is what has now been renamed the classic view, which is the reports that have been available in QuickBooks since the dawn of time, we will say, I think back from 2010. And there's now what is being implemented, a modern view. By the time you hear this video, the modern view may be the only view that is available. So I am going to just quickly touch on this because it may or may not be part of what you are seeing. So what we're looking at in the screenshot is the Who Owes You section of reports under standard reports. And you can see that there's 12 different reports here. This highlighted one, the invoice list, is going to be displayed under the new modern view template or version, right? So the modern view is currently being rolled out to all QBO subscribers, and as they're updated, you're going to see this new enhanced experience. Over time, that's going to be removed when all of the reports are now available in the new enhanced experience. Okay. Another component, let's look at our report center. We know that there is a report center, there's a reports page, there's also a performance center. So here we are in a QBO file. We've got our 3 reports.
The thing is, I don't have a file. Yeah, I don't have a file. Okay, so reports. I think what's making this harder and probably take longer than it does for most people is that this sample company is like the layout is different. I think it's like an older layout. But I have clicked on the reports before. Somewhere. Yeah. Reports, standard custom management. And there's all of these. And there's a few favorites. And it's gone. And it's gone. All right.
Pages we know standard custom management. We've talked about the search function. And then sometimes QBO is going to give you an in-product notification. So there's a little warning for you here that your reports may not display correctly if you've got an outdated version of Chrome. So just a helpful in-product notification. Sometimes it's about a third-party app. Sometimes it's about QuickBooks Online itself, but it can be helpful. You can just exit when you are done and go on from there. Okay. Let's have a quick demonstration of what's going on. Let's favorite, search it, and run. I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go to our reports center. Here we have all of those sections that we talked about. We've got our favorites already here, a balance sheet, an AR, profit and loss. What if we wanted to see also the budget overview as a favorite? We just need to click the star, turn it green, and the budget overview now shows up in our favorite. And you see it's just alphabetical order, nothing too fancy. If we decide we don't want it there, we can absolutely remove it. Let's say we wanted to find some adjusting entries. We'll see when we just click the search button, there's a list of all of the reports, so you could go that way. But if we wanted to find our trial balance, there it is. If we are looking more for a general ledger, that's how we can search it and bring that report up.
Ooh, that's
if you're looking for
super
a list, so perhaps you're
useful.
looking for your chart of accounts list, you know that you can go to your chart in many different
The
locations, but that's not going to give you
report.
the
Okay.
list.
General Ledger is about to kick some booty in the sample company because I could not figure out. There was like one transaction in the bank. It's like supply something, and I just couldn't figure it out. But now, well, maybe General Ledger might be too much, but see General Ledger. But if I generate the report and I do last year, because it was in 2025. Last year to date. How about just the last year? Aha. Oh man. Cash accounting? No. Run. Okay, so can I search this report for that payment? Inventory asset. Okay, account receivable. Checking. Check expense, invoices, and payments. Account receivables. Inventory. Depreciation, furniture and equipment. Accounts payable. Visa credit card. So why are there checking expenses in the Visa credit card? I don't really like this one, Visa credit card, but it seems wrong. Payable. The bank loan. Note payable, owner's equity, retained earnings, billable expenses, income, sales, product, services, cost of goods sold, venue rentals, catering, water bottles, markups, cost of sales. Utilities, depreciation. Okay. I still haven't been able to find that one $200 expense. So, is what it is.
List. If you want the list, you can go to your gear list. If you want the list, you can go to your gear icon. You're going to select all lists, and there's your chart of accounts there. If you want to export it, you can absolutely do so. You can print it right here, and that's going to print it out for you. You can run the report. There's your handy little list. You can go ahead and export it here to Excel if you like, or PDF, or you can add it to your management reports. You can print or you can email. Last but not least, our microgear icon is going to help us decide which we want to see, and maybe we want the created date there. In this particular report, maybe not, but we can absolutely have that element in there if we want. And then reset to default, and away you go. Okay? So that's where you're going to find your list. We talked about, go back here, let's head back to our reports. We talked about summary lists and detail lists. So here we have a balance sheet summary. We'll run that report. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and I'm going to open up a second section.
Oh, nice. Summary
of reports.
lists.
And on the second page, let's have a look at reports and balance sheet detail. You can see the difference. So here's our balance sheet detail. Here's our balance sheet summary. Right? Very, very different. When we're looking at our balance sheet, let's say just our standard balance sheet, you've got a number of places that you can edit, revise, or make changes. This entire top section, your report period, date range, toggle on or off your unrealized columns by, you could organize it by weeks. You could organize it by days, run the report. How complicated is that?
I can see why auditors are very busy. There's so many things that you can get like a little bit wrong. And if you get them a lot wrong, then yikes.
There are businesses that might need that level of detail, so do know that you have that availability right here at your fingertips as far as reports go. Your active, non-active, how about all non-zero, right? Who wants to see all those zero balanced reports? That's not always our favorite. And then comparison, how about for the previous year? Run that report. And you'll notice that.
Whoa. Comparison.
Have to click run report each time. Okay? We can also collapse to the, we can always collapse, we can sort, we can add notes, we can edit the titles. So maybe we want to call these current assets or relevant assets. We can make changes. Maybe we don't like property, plant, and equipment. Maybe we want.
The only thing that I'm thinking of is like, why would a small business be interested in like not running reports, but why would they be like, I don't know if they would be so like financially savvy, I guess, to be using like to be properly using the software, you know? I guess a small business can be like $500,000 a year, at which point maybe you can hire a bookkeeper.
Just plant and equipment. You can.
And I guess honestly, like having a bookkeeper would be a pretty valuable addition just to even have like the snapshot of like what's going on, especially if you have like a lot of things kind of coming and going in the business. And then you can have like a really good idea of what your profit is.
Make changes to these names here. Maybe you've got a not-for-profit, so you don't want to see retained earnings. You want to give it a different name. Right? All of these elements are available to you, and you can go ahead and make those changes as far as your report titles go. Right? You go ahead and change it back, leave it the way you want it to go. That's going to be super helpful too. Now, we could spend a whole day talking about reporting. And do know that when you are in your QBOA file, there's one more section that's available to you. And that is the performance section, where you've got a number of charts that are available to you. You can have up to 25. You can quick add them through an existing template, or you can create one on your own based on what it is that you want to see. Give it a name, time frame, groupings if you need it, and then any other filters that you may want to choose, and any other comparisons that you may want to choose.
Jeez,
go ahead and add that to the dashboard.
That's crazy.
I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to leave without saving. Okay. In your reports, let's go to our profit and loss. Do know that exclusive to Pro Advisors, you have the option here of see a chart. Okay. If you click that, that takes you into your performance center. So do know that that is exclusive to you as a QBOA Pro Advisor, and your clients unfortunately are not able to see that at this time. Okay. Let's head back to our spreadsheet, and we've got another search tip for you. You can search within reports. So sometimes
Hey, that's what I wanted to do earlier.
you might find yourself struggling to find a piece of data or a certain line item in a very long report, maybe a reconciliation screen, maybe a general ledger report. Do you know that you can use your browser's find function to help you pinpoint it? The shortcut to find this function is Control F on a PC or Command F in a Mac, or you can look for it right in your browser's menu, which is generally right in the top section, symbolized by an ellipsis or a skinny snowman, which are 3 vertical dots, or 3 stacked horizontal lines, sometimes referred to as a hamburger. So enter the string or the text that you want to find, and each match will be highlighted, and you can use Enter to jump from one to the other. So you can see that we've used Find Office, and the very first line that it has found is this check 2067. If we click next, it would jump to the next line to find Office there. Okay, and that's how you can function through. So
that's baller. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to do with this. Man, this like every time, like 10 seconds of my life just gone. All right. What am I finding? Oh, right. I wanted to find the 275. It doesn't exist. Yeah. Okay, the reason that I'm like crashing out about this not existing is because in here is an expense. It's uncategorized, but it's still an expense. But I guess it has never been added. All of these from November of last year are not tracked. Why are we not tracking our expenses, boys and girls? Aha, one match found. Match? Oh shit. Well, I wanted to check. Undo. So categories are a list of all the different ways you spend or receive money. The list is called your chart of accounts. Find other matches. I just want to see. Okay, that looks like the right one. There's an expense. I don't think there are any other matches. 21 got posted on the 23rd. I mean, that seems like the right one. Match. Did we have it flow through shit, what is it called? The like unaccounted for funds account. The hell is that called? Shoot, I can't remember now. It was called like unspecified, undeposited funds, maybe. I think that's what it was called, right? Undeposited funds? Nothing. No history? Why are we not using the undeposited funds account? That's like the whole flow through system. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this.
This feature searches the entire browser cache for data. So even if it's in one of the fields of a displayed transaction that's not on the screen, it will still find it. And a bonus, the function will also find any notes that have been added to a report. So there's kind of the first step of reporting. There's going to be a whole lot more that we can talk about as we move along, but this gives you the basis of where the template reports are, how to find them, how to run them, how to utilize them, and how to search within them.
Okay. Continue. Next. You may need to manipulate data. I think I already kind of did that. Customizing reports.
Customizing a standard report is a great way to streamline your workflow and to let the computer, let QuickBooks Online, handle a lot of tedious or repetitive tasks for you. So we're looking at a profit and loss report in our report center. And I just want to highlight a few key areas before I bring it to life by going in product into a demonstration. So we're looking at a standard report last month. The profit and loss, we see our date ranges there. We've got a number of options or customization options in the second section. Which columns do we want to see?
Okay, let me just play with that a bit in the reports. Count history basics, see every transaction. On the right, I don't see the running balance. Filter. I want more compact. Ledger mode. Okay, let me get back to that. Where are the reports? There they are. Custom reports. Looks like Bob created a profit and loss customized report. Looks like Bob's report is not loading. Hello? Profit and loss as a percent of total income. We have display columns by compared to percent of income. Profit, gross profit, 61%. This is so honestly awesome. As like someone who's getting into accounting, this is freaking amazing. Like, I actually really like this. This is a sweet software. Profit 29.15%. Nice net profit. We did not account for taxes anywhere. So this would be operating profit, I believe, because these are our operating expenses. Then we can save. Maybe I should do, let's do last month. Last month. Oh my god. Save. Previous month. Gonna add it to a group. Customize. How do you want to filter? Number format, divide by 1,000. It's just gonna be like $1. Nice. Round to the nearest whole number. Negative numbers. Date prepared. Section titles. Ooh, my goodness. I can update this. The operating profit. Is it gonna save? Oh, that's amazing. Okay. I mean, it is like in a way more complicated Excel, but it is a very systemized, don't screw it up kind of way.
See whether they're non-zero active comparing to another period. And then we also have right as a header to the report, another bunch or another handful of menu options to help you customize the experience. Of course, you also have the handy dandy customize tool or customize button that you can click to bring you in and show you all of the fields that are available to you through the customization process. Once you've created it, do be sure that you do click save customization, because we want to be able to save it and so that we can reuse it again and again.
I didn't see that option, but that's okay. Well, actually, I think I did save it. I don't know if I like saved the customizably generated report or not. It is slightly annoying just because like the layout's a little bit different. All of the buttons and everything are the same, but like the sample company layout is not the same as the Pro Advisor layout, but that's okay.
Again. Let's jump in. I'm going to show you a few things. We're going to go highlight the difference between a summary and a detailed report, and talk about saving, sharing, and grouping them, as well as scheduling and emailing some reports to interested parties or management, etc. So here we have our handy dandy training software. I'm in my report section. I'm looking at standard reports. What are we going to look at first? Well, how about we look at our profit and loss summary report here, and then I've got another tab open, and we can look at our profit and loss detail report in this other tab. So profit and loss summary, you can see, is the one that you expect to see. We've got income, cost of goods sold, expenses, and then a profit or loss at the bottom. This top gray area are where you can make some modifications to this templated report. So if we wanted to make a change, maybe this month to date isn't what we want to see. Maybe we want to see this fiscal year to date.
This is all
stuff
that I already did. So I'm just gonna
report, and that updates
just gonna
report. So now this
blast
is
through
considered a
this.
custom report because it's different than the standard template that the report was provided to us. We could stop here and save this customization, or we could go further and make more customizations. So let's do that. Let's hit our customize button. And we can see there's our date range. We've got some opportunities here where maybe we don't want to show the cents. Maybe we want to show any negative numbers in red. Maybe we're not in multi-currency, so the unrealized gain or loss is not important. We can organize the columns here by total, or look at all these other options from ungroup tags, products and services, classes, locations, employees, suppliers, customers, fiscal years, calendar years, fiscal quarters, months, weeks, days. Total only is our nice, boring, normal way of reporting this, but why wouldn't we try? Let's try months and see what happens. Okay. We can also change the columns. So I'm not going to add these complications just yet, because by looking at the columns,
this is such like an accountant thing. It's like, ooh, let's try organizing it differently. It's like, yeah. Hell yeah.
a month is going to make quite a difference. If we wanted to filter and only look at one particular customer, we could do that. Maybe we just want to look at best client ever, right? These are all options available to us. Header and footer, maybe Sky Training Systems is incorporated and we want to add that ink. We can do that here. Profit and loss, year to date. I'm going to put that there. And then we can go ahead and run the report, right? So there's no income for this particular client, so that was not going to be helpful to us. Let's go back and remove that filter.
It's like that meme where it's like, I don't know, just the one about how like accountants just like get off on like having a well organized spreadsheet. It's like, yeah, they do. Completely true.
And untoggle that customer. Now what are you looking at? Well, there's all of our revenue again. We did have a loss back in April. May's looking good. June's looking good. And July, well, someone's got to be doing the bookkeeping because there don't appear to be any expenses just yet in June and July. But that's how we can make that profit and loss report, and how we can include or exclude different informations and different filters. We can collapse it, which just makes it a little bit tighter, a little bit smaller. We can expand it, just gives a little bit more space. If we want to sort by the default, ascending or descending order, we can add notes, right? For internal purposes only. Exclamation mark.
Wow.
If we want to edit the title. So we saw how we could do that. Title the, let me pause that. Change the name here, we needed an ink, but we could also edit the titles across the header section. So maybe we don't like income, maybe we prefer the word revenue. We can make that change. Maybe we don't like gross profit, we can make that change. Maybe we don't like revenue at all because we're working for not-for-profit, but we have the ability to change these sections. Okay.
True. There's like a not-for-profit.
Now we're looking at revenue. And it's not just limited to that first section. You can scroll down and all the way down to net other income or profit at the bottom. Okay. So all of those are available to you. You can make those changes. It's going to make you happy as it relates to.
How would you organize this if it was a not-for-profit? Well, your revenue would still be like revenue from various sources. So it'd be like grants and donations mostly. And then you would have expenses, but you wouldn't have a profit at the end of the day. You would just have like a running balance. Or like, I learned this like literally a month ago and I can't remember. That's okay.
The reporting that you see. And once you have it the way you want it, what we want to do is go ahead and save the customization. So we can save it profit and loss year to date by month, right? That's what we want to do. We could add this report to a group. So we currently have a management report group and a monthly report group. So let's add this to the management report group. We could also add a new group if we wanted to, and we could call it quarterly if we wanted to add a new group. Okay? We get to decide where we want this to be. Now the share with is interesting, firm only. So that means you as a QBOA Pro Advisor would be able to see it as well as any of your team members, but it would not be shared with any of your clients' users. If you want the client users to be able to see the reports, then you would select all. So you'll want to be intentional about this, because if you're creating reports that are only for the business owner, you may not want to share them in this manner. Okay? Once you've got this all set up, go ahead and click Save. Where do you find it? Now we're going to go back to our report section and click custom reports. We're going to look for our quarterly section that we've set up, and there's our brand new report that we've created. It's customized and ready for us. So each month or anytime we want to run this.
I missed that. Seems kind of important.
Now we can go back to our report
Reports.
section
Oh,
and click custom reports.
custom.
We're going to look for our
And then
quarterly
you just
section that we've
find
set up,
it.
and there's our
Okay.
brand new report that we've created. It's customized and ready for us. So each month or anytime we want.
Yeah, like this. Where's the sample company? Every time, man. Gotta refresh the damn page. um, I had customized reports, and they were right here. Oh, there's the one I made. But create a schedule. Schedule and send. Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. Okay, and then you can save it. But how do you make it? Can you make it filter? Make it like generate every month, or do I have to? Like you want the last month, but I don't really see an option on how to make it generate every month. That's okay. There were 2 whole viewers on my stream a moment ago. I didn't know what to do. My brain was like, oh my god, people. Anyway, back to business.
Want to run this report, we only have to click the button once. Now, what if we wanted to send this report to somebody every single month? Well, we could do that by setting up.
Oh, it's an email schedule. That's how it's organized.
Let's go back.
So I was in the right
So our
track.
download chevron, if we want to export it to PDF, export it as Excel, add it to the management report, or delete it entirely, those are all options for us. If we edit this, this is giving me trouble. So what we're going to do instead is I've got a report grouping here that's already set up to email every month. I'm going to go ahead and click edit so we can see there's our group name, monthly reports. The email schedule is set to on. And then here's the recurrence details. It goes out every month on the 10th day of every month, never ends. We've got an email address, monthly financial reports for SkyTrain Systems. Maybe we want to update that to say Inc. We could do that. Hi, Dina. Maybe hello is too formal. We want to say hi. Attached is the set. Looking forward to our meeting next week. Whatever detail. So we'll want the subject line to be generic and appropriate for every single month. And you might want to put a little bit of friendliness into your message. The report is going to go by PDF, but you can also attach it as an Excel form if that is going to be preferable to you. Okay? Once you're all set, save and close. And now we've updated that particular report. Okay? So that is going to send out monthly. Now here's an interesting thing. Sometimes people worry about setting up these reports because they think, oh, wait, the books aren't going to be ready. You can always email it to yourself first, right? You can always set it up that way that you can create this report again, create a new group about pre-monthly reports, email them to yourself first so that they can be ready to send to the client when they're ready.
Getting sidetracked. Getting sidetracked. Okay. No longer sidetracked.
So if we were going to set up that quarterly report, what if we wanted to send, let's say, an annual balance sheet with columns for every month? So where would we start? Well, we'll start with a balance sheet. We want it to be for the annual. So maybe we're going to say this fiscal year to last month. That's a good time. Then there's our report. But what we want them to see is all 6 months or all year to date. So what we do is display our columns and go by month. And then let's run that report again. So we know our fiscal year in this particular case started April 1st. So we've got April, May, and June shown for this fiscal year to last month. We go ahead and save that. Year to date, last month. If we want to create that new group, maybe that's going to be quarterly that that's going to go out, or maybe that's our management report. Okay. And we can go ahead and save that. So management has requested that report. They've also requested a profit and loss statement that's going to look at a whole bunch of year-over-year information from your profit and loss. So what do we want to do? Well, let's look at our profit and loss for this fiscal year. Run the report. And let's have a look at fiscal years. Okay, so we see no difference until we change this and say, let's look at it back from 2020 and run the report. And you can see there's year in 2021, 22, 23, 24. And so now we've got multiple fiscal years all together in one report. We may want to save that and say P&L 2021 to 2025.
Ouchie, revenue has gone down.
When we head back to our custom reports list, and there's our management report, year to date, profit and loss versus prior year. So if we wanted to reorder these, sometimes that happens. Yes, the balance sheet, we want that to be our first report, but maybe we want this year over year to be the last report. Sometimes it can be as simple as just renaming it. We want this to be the second report, or lots of times I'll use the alphabet, save and close. I'm going to go back to the balance sheet. I'm going to change its name the A. And then last but not least, we're going to go with, this is the one that we wanted to be second, isn't it? And then C. And now we put our reports in order, and we are all set and ready to email them to our management team, right? If we want to enter more than one name, it's as simple as putting in a comma. So separate the emails with a comma. You can CC it to yourself, maybe. Set the schedule, make sure you've got everything right, and then go ahead and save. I'm just going to cancel that. And let's see. That takes care of all of our standard reports. We head back to our reports section and jump back to our presentation. Sometimes, or currently, Intuit is rolling out a modern view version of report. So you can see that the report looks quite different.
Okay.
The features and functionality are either the same or enhanced, but it will take you a time or two to get used to this new look, as well as where all of the menu options are for customizing, filtering, etc. So you can see now with the modern view, we've got a report period in the accounting method over on the left. And we do encourage you to explore this as much as possible because it will be fully in place by the end of this calendar year, 2024. All of our menu options are over on this side. Your refresh report, instead of having to run report, we've got a refresh report, which I think is a little bit more intuitive, but that is going to be more helpful to you. So let's jump in and see what we can do about creating some modern view reports for your consideration. Where are we going to go? We're going to go back to our templates. We're going to see that we have an open invoices. The new enhanced experience indicates that this is a modern view report. So we've got two there in our favorites.
A modern
Head down. We've got
view.
sales by customer type is a new enhanced experience. Sales by products and service detail is also here in a new enhanced experience. So let's just play with that one just for fun.
Modern view.
And just a nice little notification. You can see more. You can watch a video on your own. There's 5 reminders. I'm just going to close that. We have our report period.
Yeah.
Let's say this quarter. And did you notice that automatically refreshed? So as soon as I change the report period, I don't have to click that run report. The system is a little bit more in step with my activities and has gone ahead and done that. My view options, normal or collapse. So collapse just makes it tighter, smaller. I like normal view.
It was like
too hot,
and
then we've got all of our standard templates to customize. So we can group by. So currently it's grouped by the product. We could filter by anything that we want, right? Filter by any one of those column headlines. Let's pick one, for example. Let's go with a product or service. Equals, not equals, is empty, is not empty, and then the value. Right? So just like all filters, you could go ahead and choose what's going to work for you. Add as many as you need. Right, by the add filter or clear, start again. You've got some general options that are going to be available to you, similar to the customization under the classic view. So divide by 1,000, don't show pennies, round to the nearest whole currency. Negative numbers could be in red. You could add a logo, report period. The header alignment could be in the center, maybe preferred on the left. Right? Everybody has their own preferences, and you get to choose the way it's going to look. Date prepared, time prepared. Maybe the time is important. Maybe you work after hours. You don't want anybody to know. The date is sufficient. And then the footer alignment, again, you can align it to wherever you want. Okay? You've got more options, so you can schedule it, email it, or add it to management reports.
Can't tell people I'm working on QuickBooks at midnight after I put the kids to bed.
So once you've customized a report and saved it, you may want to add it to your management report, which we'll talk about in our next video. But for now, scheduling a report. Slightly different view, but we want to give it a name.
Bro, someone had to build this whole software. Or I guess a team of people. This thing is just like crazy, man.
My typing skills have just
they thought of everything.
This year to date. What do we want to do? Create and send. And then what do we want to do? When do we want it to start? Maybe we want it to start August 1st. Repeat every week, every month, every year. Maybe every week on a Friday would be appropriate, but we only want it to go every 4 weeks, right? We don't want it to go every week. Send a company email, who we're going to send it to, subject line, etc., etc.
Oh,
right?
wow.
You can use some variables to insert data, so you don't always have to type in the name, and away you go. Save and turn on, or maybe you just want to save it. You're not quite ready to turn on this particular report yet. Okay? I'm going to discard the changes. You can see how straightforward and easy it is. You can add it to a new group, so you can create a group here. You can do a save as. So save as is your customized button. Save customization is what that is. You can always export Excel, CSV, or PDF, and that's going to take care of your modern view. We're going to head back to reports. And now you know how to customize standard QBO reports.
Nice. Continue. We learned how to customize reports. Now we are going to do management reports. You can combine multiple reports. This is a great way to combine financial information and then present it to management. Let's see. Wrong button.
Using the management reports template is a great way to customize the delivery of the financial information, the analysis, the reports, the forecasts, and the summaries that you have for your clients. When you head on over to your report center, you'll find your management reports tab right there available to you, and you'll notice that there are 2 templates available. The basic company financials includes balance sheet and profit and loss, as well as a cash flow report, and the expanded include those 3 plus the AR summary and the AP summary. You can see that you can choose the report period on the fly this year, as well as a multitude.
So here's the thing about like this software, like it's awesome that there's so much customization, and I'm sure a lot of people do get into the weeds of this, but I feel like when you're running a smaller business, all you really want is basically what is on this video, where it's just like, just give me the basics, give me the minimum that will get the job done. Maybe not the minimum. I don't know, but I guess that's not a very like W attitude. So maybe there are other companies out there, but I think a lot of companies like small ones don't really have a ton of time. So like something like just having the basic reports, or even like the accounts payable receivables is probably enough for a lot of them, and then they would focus their strategy elsewhere, like with with enough, because this is enough financial information, right? All those other reports, like maybe they're useful from time to time, but I think these are the main ones.
Of dropdowns this month, last month, this fiscal year to date, etc. And of course, you can preview the report as well as expand the menu to edit it, send it, export it to PDF, export to doc, or duplicate it. Now, here's the fun thing. You cannot damage these templates. If you go to edit this template, the first thing you're going to need to do is rename it. So these templates will always be available to you. You can, if you are so inclined, to create a management report from scratch. However, I would recommend trying the template first just to get a feel for how it works, and then you can go about and do what's best.
Let's have a peek. Reports, management reports, sales performance, expense performance, overview, profit and loss balance sheet. Well, this year has not been very long, so let's do last year. Profit and loss, billable, markup. Is that a thing in the event business, or you just like you just add a markup? Like I guess. Oh, I guess you can't do things at cost, otherwise you make no money. But like if you're selling something normally for like $20, and then you're also marking it up, that seems kind of like icky business practice. But I guess maybe people are willing to pay for it. I don't know. Or maybe this is like kind of the like labor markup that you include rather than like direct to consumer. It's like kind of customizable, whatever. This is like how you kind of hourly bill, and then everything else is like kind of a different product or service. I don't know what the logic is, but it's interesting. Okay, cost of goods sold, cost of sales. So we made this much, but our billable expenses, we didn't recoup that, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. How is that possible? 40 grand? 23 grand gross profit? $1,000. Oh, baby. We are definitely running a business. That is how it goes sometimes. Accounts receivable. So how many assets do we have? We've got total assets of 48 grand and good amount of receivables and cash. But I think we also took it a loan. Where are liabilities? Payables, but non-current liabilities. Yeah, baby. We did indeed take that out. How much equity do we have? 25 grand? All right. Could be worse. Could be worse.
For you as you move along. So let's jump in and show you how to create and edit a management report. Here we are in a management report. So you can see I've already created one, but I'm going to just do one quickly here in the expanded company financials. I'm going to click edit. The very first field that is highlighted is the name. So we're going to call it STS Financials. And in order for us to be able to edit anything, we do need to hit save first. So once we have saved this template to a new name, now we are able to go ahead and change it around. So let's go to our reports and charts. We can see that we've got a profit and loss balance sheet, etc. I always like to start with the balance sheet. So I'm just going to change the order of reports and put the balance sheet first. Next up, I might want to add another report because that's a bit of a skinny report. I want to add some customized information. And if you recall, we created a number of custom reports and they're available to us.
You could put like, you can make a report of like who are our biggest customers, or like what are like largest invoices. And then you could talk about how relying on one customer to fund your entire business is a bad idea. That would be kind of cool to include, I think. And you could do that for like a lot of other financial reporting things.
So maybe we want to include the sale by customer detail report. We can do that. Maybe we want to add one more custom report. Let's go ahead and find it. I think it's near the end here. So we've got a profit and loss 5 fiscal years available to us. Let's have a look at that report. Okay, that's a good one. To collapse it again, we just click the number pad. So open and collapse. Here, we might now want
compared to the previous year. That's a good report. How are we doing this year at this time compared to last year this time?
So maybe sales by customer detail is going to come after the profit and loss.
It's honestly just what you'll see like in a filing for stocks, like whatever they put in those mega gargantuan earnings reports, like, yeah, that's useful info.
Maybe that year over year profit and loss report should come up to be after this year's profit and loss report. Okay. What you'll notice is
sales by
there's
customer,
an eyeball with a line through it. That means that that page
flows.
is not going to be displayed. You see our reports and charts is showing not to be displayed. What does that mean? Well, if you hit preview report and you're wondering why your report is only 2 pages long, it is likely because you have hidden all of the reports you want to see. Once you unhide them, you can go ahead and preview the report. And now we've got a 14-page report, a nice table of contents here showing where everything is and what page it's on. And you can go ahead and review that or walk your client through it. Send it to them. You can email it directly. You can save it as PDF. You can print it out. Whatever is going to be best in that particular circumstance. Your preliminary pages would be your executive summary. So you can put information here, analysis, ratios, recommendations, concerns, successes, whatever might be the most appropriate. As well, you could add some endnotes, such as, these are for internal management purposes only, not necessarily for, they're unaudited.
These reports
and that is going to take care of our report. So last but not least, you can always save it again. You can send it. So if you wanted to send this directly, send it to your client name, CC it to yourself, send it in PDF or Word version. You can customize the file and do note again, I'll say it one more time, it goes in PDF. Go ahead and send that email. So those are your management reports. Very effective. And the nice thing is that they are custom, right? If we look at the report that I set up before, you can also include the logo, and that really makes it nice.
Whoa.
This set of monthly financial management report, I call it the monthly analysis and spending report. So you can see it doesn't have to be your standard month-end financials. You can customize it to what's going to be useful and actionable by your client. So go ahead and try out your management reports and have fun with them.
That's awesome. I like the management reports. Those seem extremely useful. How to set up management reports. All right. I believe this was the last one of that section. Yeah. Okay. 5 minutes. I'm gonna get a sweater. BRB. It is probably like the coldest day of the year outside. It's genuinely freezing. And it's supposed to go even colder, but thankfully I will be away soon. So, good motivation to get this done. Continue. Every time. And I always press the wrong button. There we go.
The Performance Center is where you will find all kinds of charts to visually display what's going on with the business, its performance, some measurements, maybe some ratios. You can have up to 25 charts available to you in the Performance Center. It is located in your Report Center. You see about your Reports tab, followed by your Performance Center. You can quick add charts from a list of templates. You can add a new chart from scratch, and a nice little wizard will walk you through creating that chart and making the proper selections and names that are filters that you want to use for it, right? You can customize the layout so you can organize the charts into a different format. It's going to make more sense to you. You can, on the fly, change the time range or the date range. So hit the drop down, change it to this fiscal year to date, this year, last year, whatever is going to suit your needs. Let's bring that to life. I'm going to create and edit some charts for you, as well as show you how to customize the layout. In our Report Center, selecting Performance Center. First things first, let's run over here. We can add a quick chart, cost of goods over time. It's been added.
All right, let's do this. Where is... I think on this one it was in the homepage. I don't see the performance center, but I do see this, and you can add widgets. And this kind of seems like that. Let me see. Add a widget. What did we have? We had cost of goods sold is what she was doing. Sales, invoice, cash flow, bank expenses, P&L, operational, bank accounts, cash flow, profit and loss, report. I don't know that I want to see the report. Expenses is pretty cool. I don't see the performance center in the way that she was pointing out. Payroll marketing. Reports. I think this is the performance center, this business at a glance. I just don't see. Okay, let's add sales. I want to see. One widget has been added. Let's do last month. And can I customize it a little more than that? Customize. Okay, this lets you move it. Sure, let's add it over there. We have sales. Can I not make it a comparison bar chart from last year? I don't love that. How to customize? I don't like this at all. Okay, money in, money out. These give feedback. Okay, what if we go to, because it was in the reports. So if we go to reports, maybe, no, budgets. Cash flow overview. It wouldn't be in management reports, but maybe if we wanted to see, I want to just see sales. Sales. Taxable sales summary. Maybe sales by customer. Can I turn this into a widget somehow? Okay, we got 2 customers in January. If we do last month. Last month, we got 4 customers and 10,000 in sales. And now I want this. I want this to go as a widget, but I don't see a way to do that. Customize. Oh, interesting. Like everything is its own app now. Okay. I'm just going to keep going. It has changed a bit, but let's keep it going.
Boom, and it always comes front and center, so that makes it easy to know. Now, maybe this
actually does kind of look like the same thing.
is not the report that we intended to create.
The
We can
widgets.
hit our ellipsis or a skinny snowman, and we can delete it entirely.
Oh yeah, it just says widget.
Say bye-bye.
This is basically the same
Okay,
thing.
it's gone. That was easy to create a new chart. We can change a chart. So we've got this fiscal year. Maybe we want it to be last fiscal year. Oh, well, it looks like we're a brand new company. We'll change it back to this fiscal year to last month. Still not doing so good, are we? What if we need to make additional edits? Here's the filter button. So this has been filtered by 2 items. So maybe our best option is to edit this widget. So we've edited it by income. We've got our different income levels. And we've also filtered it by our service items. So we could go ahead and remove those filters.
Okay, I didn't see that option. I don't think I have. Not for the other, not for that widget, but maybe for these, I had a filter option. About. Automatically show info last month, select different time frame. I'll show you how much your profit increased, decreased compared to last month. Down 2,000% from last month. Dope. Expenses. Okay, this one I can edit. Okay, so some widgets are editable, some are not. Can we add more widgets? Can I add one that is editable? Maybe we put it here. It doesn't look like I can. Maybe we save it, and then we do... this is useful. Can see at a glance my accounts receivable. Oh, wait, if I click, it doesn't do anything.
And we see our chart changes. Let's go ahead and save that. Oh, let's not group it by. Let's go ahead and save that. Oh, let's not group it by anything. None. And save. So there's our chart. And then it makes it easy to change it. Okay. We have a custom accounts receivable chart here. We have accounts receivable gross profit over time. We've talked about creating a new chart. We can edit it, we can delete it, and we can reorder them. So we've got a long list of charts here. These two seem to be a little bit orphaned. So we could customize.
I wonder if, like, in the accountant version of the software, if you can customize the charts more.
The layout. Move this one chart up here. Now we've got that nice and neat, but we could also throw it way
ratios.
up here. Plug this one. And now we've got more of a square situation going on, right? Maybe we want to have them all compacted that way, makes them easier to see. Maybe we want to put all of our accounts receivable widgets together, or maybe all of our profit widgets together. The customizing it is straightforward. You can also add a new chart, decide what kind you want. Maybe you want a quick ratio chart. Continue. This year to date, this month to date. We can compare it to the previous period and add it to the dashboard. There's our quick ratio, right? And we can have a look to what's going on this year, previous year. We can watch our performance that way. So that is your performance center. It can be a lot of fun to play around with it, create the widgets that are going to be valuable to you, and then run them for your clients.
Okay, she did say run them for your clients. So it's, again, I think there's just a discrepancy in my sample company version versus what's going on here. Hey, that's it. I will take my credits. So these take me about twice as long as whatever this number is. You have 5.5, so it's probably going to take me like 11 hours, maybe 10. That's 6.5, but I think that's just the running time. All right, almost done. Now period end activities, and then I can do the exam, but I'm going to go and get a different pair of pants because I'm really cold. You guys will never know that I changed my pants. I could not be wearing any pants, actually. That would be weird, though. Would it? I don't know. I am in my own house. But I'm like, I feel like I'm working, so I feel like it would be kind of weird. Okay. Reconciliation feature. Featuring
The reconciliation feature of
reconciliation.
QuickBooks Online is a great way
It's a great
to be able
way.
to quickly and easily reconcile accounts, identify discrepancies, resolve outstanding items, and validate your GL all at the same time. There are 3 different ways that you can access the reconciliation feature. My favorite is from Accountant Tools and then click Reconcile. You can also go to your big gear icon in the top right, choose Reconcile from the Tools column, or just head straight on over to your Transaction Center and choose the Reconcile page.
Like a weird line on the screen.
Once you're here, you can reconcile all kinds of different accounts. Here's some popular ones listed: your bank, your credit card, line of credit, asset accounts, prepaids. Deferred revenue is a fantastic one because you often need to have a list of what deposits you have on file. Maybe you've got a rental property, you need to know who's got the last month's rent. Really, you can reconcile any and all balance sheet accounts except for the retained earnings account. The retained earnings account cannot be reconciled, but as I mentioned, all other balance sheet accounts may be reconciled. Okay, so before we start, what do we want to do? Well, it might seem like we want to jump into a reconcile right away, but wait. The first thing that we want to do is go to our bank feed and ensure that all of the transactions for the period that we are reconciling have been processed. That's really important because our bank feed matching, adding, or transferring is going to be the precursor. It's the pre-reconciled task of reconciling your transactions or your different accounts. If you reconcile before processing your bank feed transactions, you've now orphaned all of those transactions that are or should have been included in that time frame, which creates
Orphaned.
work that you need to go back and exclude. So number 1, process all the bank feed transactions, then move on to the reconciliation function.
Okay. I'm gonna just do that and see what happens. Because this thing, like none of the bank transactions just were not, they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, you know? So we go here, I did one. We're at the credit card, we have supply depot, uncategorized. Let's make this a supplier. S supply depot. This will be, is there an office? Office expenses. And 13%. And this will be admin. And add. Coffee. This will be supplier. Is there a coffee supplier? Coffee place. I don't see one. Do I have to have one? No, I don't. Account. This will be meals and entertainment expense. This will be... I need to add. I need to add a new rate. I did this already, but I have to do it again. Damn it. Okay, this was in the settings. We go here, and then we go, where are the taxes? I think it was in sales, right? No, maybe company. No. Usage. No. Maybe advanced. Currency preferences. Exclusive of tax. No. What am I thinking of that was here? Oh, it was enable. I like having account numbers on, but there aren't any, which is fine. And then this was not where you manage your tax rates. You manage them in sales tax. And then you add a tax. Add. No. Add a custom tax. Hospitality. Meals and entertainment. CRA. Filing frequency is whatever. Accrual. I pay this. 6 point. That's 13/2. 6.5. Tax on purchases reclaimable. Next period. Period starts in January. Do yearly reporting. Oh. Let me just do it here. Meals and just gonna put a 6.5 input tax credit. And make inactive. Done. And then we go back here. We categorize this as M&E. Input tax credit. Yeah. The thing is, I still don't understand. Like, I guess I'm doing this to categorize it as the input tax credit, but also you actually pay HST on the meal, but you get half of it back. So maybe that's like the logic, but like the money on the bill is going to show HST. And then you get an input tax credit to sort it out later, which I guess is useful. I don't know where the other 6.5% goes, but that's okay. No customer. This will be admin as well. We can add that. Okay, this one's in office expenses. Oh, this is helpful. This would have been nice to have before. Easy. Easy. Yeah, why not? 13% is all the same. Supplies depot. 13%. Supplies depot. 13%. Admin. The bank. $1,000. 2 matches. So this was so it is probably this one because it's a deposit by the looks of it, or a pay down. So here we sent $1,000 and then it came in on the 15th, which that seems fine to me. Meals and entertainment. I don't know what happened. No, this was wrong. Did I? No, okay, this is fine. Admin, add. Okay, bank done. Uncategorized income. Oh boy. So why did we spend on the debit card here? It doesn't matter. As a supplier. Supply depot. Let's call this office expenses. Let's call it HST. Yeah. Call it admin. Let's add it. Email. Let's call this. Do we have like software? Parents like dues and subscriptions. 13. You would think there's 13% on the email service. It's just weird that it's like 10 flat. I don't know, it's fine. Add. Hotel, let's call that a travel expense. Why is there travel and then travel expense? I don't know. No, actually, you don't always pay 13%. Damn it. No. Air Express, that would be a travel expense. It would be 13%. Parking seems like a travel expense too. I guess it depends on where we traveled to, but restaurant. I think this was around the same time. Let's see, when did we? Well, this is when we paid for the hotel. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's when we were there. And same with like parking doesn't necessarily mean that we were traveling to pay for parking. It was just like when it got paid for. But okay, fine. Let's just do IT support. Let's just categorize these under meals and entertainment because I don't know if it is a travel meal, but it is prior to the travel expenses, so I think it's unlikely that it was. So that's just typical meals and entertainment. And we'll do 6.5, yes. And that's fine. It just says restaurant. No payee. Hey caramba. Yeah. Okay, figured it out. IT support center, spend $100. This be like an office expense, maybe? Subcontractor services. I would think of this as like more of a utility or like an office expense or like a professional fee or even utilities. I'm gonna go with office expense. I mean, $100 flat is weird, so maybe the IT guy is a small business. I should stop saying yes. All right, and then we got deposits. Let's see. So I have to match these, I imagine. 8,700 on the 20th. I need to deposit 8,700. That's if it's a ATM deposit, it would be cash, right? I don't think you can deposit a check. Four, 7. Well, we'd have to mark the received payments. Let's try with a smaller number. 480 on the 13th. Literally from who though? There's no info on these transactions. Mamma mia. Okay. Oh. Dox myself again. Fuck. Literally can't help myself. Okay. Second. While I fix that. Can't believe this, man. Is there any way is there any way for this not to leak my email every time? I guess I could just use a burner account. There's literally no point in using my actual email. Oh man. That would solve the problem. Well, actually there is point because the training is through my email, so never mind. Why does it kick you out? You're inactive for like 5 minutes, bro. Okay, I have been so sidetracked by this reconciliation thing, so let's keep it going.
Identify which account you want to reconcile. And if you've been set up for online statements, then you can view the statement and download it right here. QuickBooks has that access so that at the end of the month, you need to reconcile, you already have the information, you can view the statement here, you can download it, you can attach it, you can save it somewhere else, you can print it. But the important part is that you can access the bank statement, which is what you need in order to enter the end balance, the end date, so that you can begin reconciling. You can see that QuickBooks has been last reconciled this particular MasterCard on March 28. So we'll probably want to enter in the ending balance, enter in the new statement date, which will be April 28, and then go ahead and start reconciling. When we click that button, we are prompted or presented with a very busy screen, but it's really solid information. It just tells you where you are. You're in the reconciliation feature. You're reconciling your MasterCard that ends in 9198 for the statement date ending March 28, and balance is here. The beginning balance shows below all of the different adjustments. You've cleared the amounts, and your difference is 0. So from a high-level perspective, you're ready to finish now and complete the reconciliation.
Sorry, I need to watch that again.
Reconciling your MasterCard that ends in 9198. See where you are. You're in the reconciliation feature. You're reconciling your MasterCard that ends in 9198 for the statement date ending March 28, and balance is here. The beginning balance shows below all of the different adjustments. You've cleared the amounts, and your difference is 0. So from a high-level perspective, you are ready to finish now and complete the reconciliation. Of course, before you do that, I want to point out a few other elements of this particular page. You can see that the statement end date is the default, so QuickBooks already filters that for you based on the end date that you entered on the previous page. So you're only looking at transactions that are up to and including the statement end date. There are 3 quick filters for you. If you want to filter and just look at charges, that might be your preferred method of completing a reconciliation. Maybe you want to just filter for payments, or as in this case, we can filter and just look at all. In case you forgot to view the statement, you have another button here to go ahead and access it. And then we're headed into our grid with our column headers. We have a date and a cleared date. This is really important. You may have deposited that bank or that check on May 31st, but maybe it didn't clear the account until June 2 because it was a weekend. Maybe you issued a check on March 15 and it didn't clear until April 5. It's going to show up here March 15 and uncleared, so you will know that that is outstanding and you can look ahead. Or maybe you've already processed the April bank feeds and you can see that it cleared on April 5. So that's good information to have, kind of gives you a sneak peek into the future and shows it to you all in one standard location. Type of transaction, reference number, account is a fun feature. So as you're reconciling, you can just double check that that is in fact coded to office supplies or meals and entertainment or asset account or travel. So it's another place that you can review your GL and prevent or eliminate any month-end correction activities that might occur. Your payee shows any memo that's been included. This is our magic button. This is our bank feed connected to our reconciliation feature. So when we talked about bank feeds earlier, we know that by matching or adding appropriately and complete and to all the transactions, you are pre-reconciling. And so when we come into our reconciliation feature, we're going to see the symbol listed against all of the line items where you have matched the transaction from the bank feed. That is going to make your reconciliation time lickety split quick. You've got your charges, your payments, and then what you would expect to see in any reconciliation is the check mark, which matches the statement to the GL. Okay? That is going to be very important. So let's move on. What happens once we've gone ahead and click the finish? Once we've finished, in the case of a credit card, we're going to have the option to pay the bill now or pay all or portion of the bill now. That will take you to a live link where you can do that. Now, when I say pay all or portion, I mean record the payment, all or portion in QBO. This does not take you to your online banking to make a payment in real time with real money. This is just recording the payment all or in portion into QBO. Or you can enter a bill to pay later. Or what I like to do is I just click done. I don't engage with either of these 2 activities. You may choose to attach the statement and have yourself a full audit trail, right? Just like that, you are done. Now, sometimes the beginning balance might pose a problem for you. So you might see when you go into your reconciliation feature, a pop-up window that says, wait, your account is not ready to reconcile yet. Your beginning balance is off. We can help you. So your first question is, what could cause the beginning balance to be off? Well, there's a few different ways, or a few different reasons. One, an incorrect opening balance may have been entered. Perhaps this is a new file or a new account to you, and someone transposed a number, and that's caused the incorrect opening balance through the journal entry, that initial trial balance journal entry. Okay. Second reason, perhaps transactions older than the old opening balance have been entered. So a moment ago, we saw that we were reconciling the March 28 MasterCard statement. And let's say that we went ahead and reconciled it, and then we started reconciling the April 28 statement. But there's a discrepancy because somebody entered in a transaction dated February 2 as opposed to April 2. So that February 2 is in a prior period, and that's going to kick out as an error that you'll need to investigate and resolve. Sometimes a transaction that has already been reconciled might get deleted, either by mistake or on purpose or an error. Maybe it was edited, maybe it was moved, or maybe someone's gone into the bank register and unreconciled it. And that can be the toughest one to find because that ties in with the last bullet here, a transaction was manually reconciled. So one of these things can happen. And what we want to do is be able to resolve it. Here's that screenshot. So what we want to do when this is presented to us is click the button. We can help you fix it. QuickBooks is then going to pop up a list of the transactions that have challenges associated with them, as well as what the challenge was. So it might say, this account was deleted or this amount was changed, and then you can look at the transaction history and then post the correct adjusting or correcting entry so that you can move ahead and resume reconciling the account. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to reconcile and unreconcile an account, as well as how to review the bank register, because there is that pre-reconcile, that matching of the bank feed to the reconciliation function, and sometimes that can be manually overridden and cause some problems. Do remember, I should say, that only pro advisors through their QBOA software can unreconcile an account. Okay? Oops. Let's jump in and head to the demo. Here we are. My favorite way to get there is Accountant Tools.
So is this the QuickBooks cabal? I can't, as a business, unreconcile an account, but as a pro advisor, I can, all of a sudden. Very interesting. Making business for me.
And go to reconcile. Now, what have I done
Alrighty, let's see.
wrong right off the hop? The first thing I want to do is go to my bank feed and ensure that all of my transactions have been processed. So I'm currently going to be reconciling to June 30th of 2022, and my transactions are processed up to September of 2022. So in fact, I'm actually in the clear. What do we see? Well, this account doesn't.
Hold up. Oh my god, hold on. Okay, before I tab, I'm gonna just gonna check. This happens every time. I wish I could update. I could, but like I have this one, which I guess when I'm over here is fine, but when I'm watching the video is like less fine. But I have these scenes that I can quickly switch between. Whatever. I'm gonna stay up here for now and do these. Reconcile. Find, keep things tidy. Okay. Open your bank statement, match your books to the statement. Success. Which account do you want to reconcile? Checking. Statement ending. The amount is the ending balance from your bank statement. I don't want to do checking. Can we do my credit card? Yeah. I don't know when the statement end date is. $12.17 is I didn't import this, so I don't know. I don't know. Ah. Ending balance. But the bank balance is 3,200. Oh, I'm gonna bang my head against the wall. This sample company sucks. Okay. I guess I'll just watch. I'll watch and learn.
Doesn't have online bank activity or online bank statements. So unfortunately, we don't have the view statements button here, but we can check that the ending balance for May 31st was in fact 46,911.77. We don't have any warnings. We can go ahead and enter in the bank balance for April 30th, or I should say June. 824,
Oh, I see.
87.
I see what the point of reconciling is. If your bank at the start of one month says this, and then at the end of the month says that, and then you compare it to all of the things you inputted into the software, and then they're both the same, you should, in theory, be good. But if one of them is off, then you're not good, and you need to check.
And the ending date, which is going to be
Understood.
June 30th of 2022. I'm all set there. I can go ahead and start reconciling. So right off the hop, we see the top says there's the payments, there's the deposits, there's the difference. I'll expand that. And on the surface, it would appear that we are all set and ready to finish now. But before we do that, let's just explore a little bit further. You saw that I could hide or expand the detail of the statement information, and that can be helpful when you've got a long list of transactions. Here, there's only a handful of transactions. It's not a big deal. QuickBooks automatically filters by the statement end date, but you could absolutely look at all the transactions if you wanted to, and then reset it back to the filter date. We can see that in this particular case, the date of the transaction matches the cleared date, and that makes sense because we've got bank deposits, transfer between accounts, and deposits. Okay. If we wanted to filter and just look at payments, there they are. Filter for deposits only, or look at all. And that will depend on the volumes and the complexity of the accounts that you're reconciling. Our favorite functionality here is our bank feed reconciliation or pre-matching screen. So you can see that each one of these transactions was matched from the bank feed. And that means that we did our month-end work in real time, and that's wonderful. QuickBooks has already checkmarked everything because it has matched it based on the date in the software, the date that it cleared, and everything else is matched up. So we are all set and ready to reconcile. Now, sometimes you might have a discrepancy where you come in and you say, well, there's a difference of $20. Well, every single line item is exactly matched. What is the problem? Double check your end balance. You can see that the number is incorrect. The statement end balance was 52,824. Go ahead and edit that amount back to what the statement end balance was and click save. Sometimes another problem that can happen is if the date is.
What if your like statement end balance is different, or your like end date is off, and like an expense you thought should be in there isn't in there or something, or like hasn't cleared yet?
Is incorrect. Maybe, we whoopsed, and instead of clicking June 30th, we clicked June 23. We're also going to cause ourselves problems and not be able to reconcile. So whenever you have a difference problem within, first double check your info that your end balance and your statement date balance are in fact correct before heading on.
Or like, what if something takes a few days to clear, like in a checking, like a check in a checking account?
So here we could go ahead and finish now. We could save it for later if we wanted to, or I could close it without saving and say,
I guess the
ready
clear
to do this.
date can be different from the
case,
actual date.
I'm going to go ahead and finish now. We reconciled the account. So we saw the screenshot of what happens after the credit card.
But it would probably factor in the cleared date as well, and then it would just wouldn't include it on the statement. Because if the thing hasn't cleared yet, but like you recorded that you paid a check, for example, but it hasn't cleared, then it wouldn't show up in the reconcile. It would show up in the next month's reconcile.
This is what happens after the checking account. We can attach the statement, we can view the reconciliation report, or we could click done. So I'm going to click view reconciliation report so you can see what that looks like. There's our statement date. We can look at any of the accounts for any of the statement end dates, and we can go ahead and print them if we want. We can go back and reconcile another account, or we can go directly to our bank register, which is the next thing that we want to talk about. So one of the ways to get there is directly through our reconciliation option, but more commonly, you may find yourself somewhere else within the software and want to get to your bank register. What I would recommend is just go to your chart of accounts. There's our checking account that we want to look at, and account history will bring up your bank register. So here it is. Columns look pretty straightforward to us: date, types, accounts, memos, et cetera, et cetera. We can absolutely change the columns if we want to. Maybe we don't need the class and location, and go ahead and close that ledger. Now, we talked about this let me sort that back by date, our pre-reconciliation button. So if we look back to 2019, we can see that this was matched from the bank feed and it's been reconciled. That's what the letter R means, that this has been reconciled and verified against my bank records as of a given date. So we never want to mess with any of these transactions that have R's with them, okay? Why does this one not have a manual match? Because this transaction was in fact void. Okay? We can continue to scroll along, again, void, so it's not going to be matched. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to filter to July 31st. I'm going to apply that. And then I'm going to change the date the other way because that's my fancy way of getting to those June transactions that we just reconciled. So what do we see here? We see that on July 31st, this deposit has been matched, and currently it has been tentatively reconciled. So by virtue of the match, this letter turns to the letter C, saying that it's ready, it's been pre-reconciled, and we're just waiting for someone to come along and reconcile the July 31st statement. You can see all of the transactions from June have been reconciled and are ready to go, okay? So what's going to happen? We talked about manually changing. First thing I want to show you is if we were going to go to our reconcile function and start reconciling to July 31st, you can see that we don't have any problems whatsoever over here. However, what happens if someone comes in and looks at this particular transaction and says, oh no, it should have been $820, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. Well, there's a warning. Wait a minute. This came from your bank records. Are you really sure that you want to do this? The answer should be no, I don't want to. But in this case, I'm going to break it on purpose. And a second warning. Hey, wait a minute. This has already been reconciled. You're really going to make a mess and create some more work for yourself in the future. Are you sure you want to modify it? The correct answer would be no. But again, I want to break it and say yes. So now
Correct
what's
answer
happened?
would be no.
We're going to come back to our reconciliation function. I'm going to refresh the screen. And now we have problems. Again, this is off by $3. We can help you fix
broke
it.
it.
There's the problem. The amount was changed from 823 to 820, and that's what the problem was. What do we want to do? Well, we can view it here. And this is the activity of what has gone on. This is the audit trail of this particular transaction.
Man.
Okay? And we can see what changes were made. So that's not going to help us solve it, but sometimes it can help us track down what happened,
Can't
who
believe you've done
handled the
this.
transaction, or who made the change, so that we can go back and fix it. So what's going to happen? I'm going to go back to that account history. You can see I'm going
Damn,
to
there's like a
edit this
friggin'
account.
audit trail
Oops, I'm
too.
going to edit. I'm going
This
to change
thing
it
is
back to the
wild.
823. So I'm going to correct the entry, and I'm going to save and close. I'm going to be
Wild.
warned again because now it really thinks I'm breaking everything, but in this case, I know that I'm correcting it. Okay. If we head back to our
Crazy.
reconciliation module, we can see that now we're all set and we're ready to go.
Yay.
The other problem that sometimes can happen is that a user might come in and say, well, wait a minute, that's reconciled. And they'll just manually change that to R, and they shouldn't, because it actually
OpEx is that's different from CapEx. Why does it say 45%? Unless it is a capital expenditure account and it's a like capital cost depreciation type of situation.
hasn't been reconciled. That can also cause a problem. So when you go to reconcile again, you're going to have problems, right? So you can see the power of making sure that you don't override any of these systems, leave them as they stand. And if someone else has made a change, you know where you can investigate and resolve it. Okay. Now, the last thing that we want to do is unreconcile a reconciliation. So we know that we're reconciled to June 30th, but what if I wanted to undo that for whatever reason? Maybe I entered the wrong number. Maybe there's problems. Maybe there's bank feed transactions that haven't been processed yet. So I want to undo it. I'm going to go to my history by account. I'm going to find that particular reconciliation. I'm going to head on over to my action column and undo. Okay. Now don't be fooled. QuickBooks always wants you to click the big green button, but if we click the big green button, we're just going to go back to where we started and we haven't unreconciled anything. So let's go back and undo. Read the pop-up window and what it says. And do you want to go ahead? Yes, I want to go ahead. Again, don't be fooled by the big green button. Read the pop-up window. Go ahead and undo the reconciliation. Now you can see it's disappeared from here.
Oh my god,
and if we were going to go
it's
back and
gone.
reconcile, you can see that we have to start again with the June reconciliation. So that is your reconciliation feature. You can see
Cool.
how helpful it can be.
That is pretty
but
cool.
there can be problems. They can be resolved or reconciled.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. Continue. Next. Books to tax. I think that was it for my module now. Am I crazy? I feel like that was the whole module. Oh, shit, I'm on the next one already. Okay. I'm gonna get a coffee and then I'm gonna keep doing this. Maybe water. I have an idea that just came into my brain. I'm gonna update my blink screen to a BRB screen. Would be cool to have like a cat or something. But BRB. Okay. And then maybe I add a image. Maybe we call it let's see if I can find anything useful. I don't know where the hell I'm gonna find it. Maybe overlay. Oh my god, that's like a super old overlay. Image. Image. Documents. Ooh, yeah, let's do something like maybe we do this. Nice. Yeah. Me and some stoats. And this image that one of my students made for me like a long time ago. It looks pretty cool. Swaggity stoats. And let's make this black font. BRB. Where's the middle of the screen? That's pretty close. Maybe I should just smack it right in the middle. BRB. Okay. I think it would be cooler if this was like a moving picture or something. Like I just call like a video a moving picture. But yeah, I think it'd be cooler if it was like a moving, like a video for the BRB screen or something like that. Anyway, I have beans and fish. So I'm gonna have a little bit of food while I finish up this. I feel like it's every streamer's dream to eat on stream. But I have been doing this for a while, so forgive my crunchy eating. All right. I'm going to jump back into it. Almost done. And as I said, forgive my crunchiness. I will try to mute and unmute. I have a toggle switch, so I'll be using that. But for now, I'm just going to get back into watching the videos. I'm also going to make sure my stuff hasn't timed out and it's not going to dox me, as Lord knows, always doxing. And it looks good for the time being. Alrighty. Webcam 2. So I finished reconciliation. Apparently only QuickBooks Pro advisors can unreconcile things, which seems kind of interesting. And now we do the books review for taxes, sales tax review, probably with like input tax credits, and then budgeting finally. And I don't know that any of these are available on my sample company site. They probably are available like here on this site, but it's the sample company site that they give is like it's like a business version of QuickBooks, but this is the like accountant version of QuickBooks. So whatever, slightly different, a lot of similarities, but it is what it is. All right, the books review feature is your in-product guide to help ensure you have completed all essential tasks for the end of the period. Books to tax, books review.
The books review feature as a component of your books to tax center is your in-product guide to completing your month end, your catch up, to making sure that you've handled all of the work, the tasks and activities that you need to complete to finalize a month end, to finalize a year end, to make sure that you have identified any challenges and resolved any problems. You can also help track investigating any accounts with unusual or expected balances. You can be sure that all of your accounts are reconciled into what date. If there are any unresolved or uncategorized transactions, you can absolutely get them resolved as well. Just in case you've missed them, you can head on over directly through a hyperlink and process the bank feed transactions for that particular period. And those are all very important functions that you must complete before handling a month end. Now, there is a difference. Monthly is pretty straightforward. It is what it says that it is. You can see that monthly, you're looking at 1 month at a time. If you are handling a cleanup, there would be there's going to be a few added features and functionalities that will help you perhaps reconcile some unreconciled or discrepancy balances or unmatched amounts. And there's going to be some additional help for you there. So let's jump in and talk a little bit more about books review. So when you open it up, you can see that books review is currently set up to the monthly tab. This is our fiscal year, so April to March. We can make a change if we wanted to do so, but we like to see our fiscal year end. The first tab we see is our transaction review. And in here, it's going to encourage you to process your bank feed transactions, review and address open issues, as well as handle any additional items. You can add additional tasks or activities, you can edit them, or you can delete them if perhaps they're no longer useful. Your books review center or tab or window as a whole has 4 different tabs. So transaction review, when you complete that area, you're going to move on to account reconciliation. Then you're going to move on to final review and wrap up. So pro advisor tip that we have for you is absolutely remember to review your general ledger for the period. Double check your categorizations, your tax codes, your amounts. Look for normal transactions or abnormal balances. Be sure to utilize the reclassify transaction function because that can be a quick way and an effective way of moving things around and putting them where they belong. Okay. So once you've completed all of these elements, you're going to be ready to move on to the next thing. If you need to reclassify, let's go ahead and do that. The purpose of this, and we're just going to talk about it in high level view, but do know that the reclassify transactions function is exclusive to pro advisors, but it is available in all subscription levels. So if you're a pro advisor using your QBOA, you have the reclassification or the reclassify tool at your fingertips. Now, it's also available to end users of the QBO advanced subscription level only. So why do you want to reclassify? Well, sometimes people get in a bad habit and they start creating new accounts or going back and forth between, oh, is this a subscription fee or is this an office expense or is this a dues expense? And so this way you can head on into your reclassify, decide whether you need to reclassify a profit and loss account or a balance sheet account, make that selection, and then fill in the blanks. Choose which account you want to review and reclassify, pick your date range, and then decide what it is that you want to view. Maybe you just want to look specifically at invoices or specifically at expenses. You can filter for that type, then find the transactions. And the reclassification function is going to allow you to do a quick update on multiple transactions at one time. So you can reclassify an account, a class, a tax code. You see location is here, and you can do this to a whole bunch of transactions all at once. So select the date range to find what you're looking for, make the adjustments, and then away you go. Okay? Let's bring that to life and show you how to reclassify transactions. First things first, here we are in Sky Training. I'm going to head on up to my accountant tools. I'm going to select reclassify transactions. And profit and loss can typically be a common range that we might want to reclassify. I'm going to go back in time, see if I can get a bunch of transactions going here. Find transactions. What have we got? We've got service items.
Okay, so she just said that you can't reclassify. So, like, if you, as like, unless you have advanced, I don't think the sample company is advanced, but let me see. Reconcile my accountant. What does back to practice do? I'm scared to press this button. Give me a second. This is gonna completely boot me out. Okay. Hopefully that didn't ruin everything I just did. No, it didn't. Okay. So what is she doing again? She is went to accountant tools and reclassify, which I don't have. But it should be in here. Reclassify. No transactions because I have no clients. Okay. Cool. So I can't try this, basically.
We've got marketing and advertising. We've got a whole bunch of rent, some subcontractors, and away we go. Well, let's have a look at accounting and legal. We see that we've got 2 accounts here, and we could imagine that the tax code, we've got one that's HST, one that's exempt. So how about we go back and say, well, wait a minute, we want to fix that. We want to reclassify this bill to update the tax code. Okay, let's go ahead and reclassify. And we're going to change the tax code to be HST and apply. And just like that, we've changed the tax code. What if we wanted to go to services? We've got a bunch of sales receipts here. What if we wanted to sort by a customer? So this one customer, our best client ever, let's find the transactions for that client. Oh, just the one. Let's go back, go to our Big City Blues, find those transactions. There's a whole bunch in here. What if we made a boo-boo and Big City Blues should only be GST? We could do all of them and change the tax code to GST.
I love what if we made a boo-boo.
Simple and easy.
That's
Classes
funny.
and locations is handled in future webinars. I'm not going to talk about that, but you can see how quick and easy it is to make a change. Now, that can also be a problem because if you get too excited, you might change a bunch of transactions by mistake, and then you're going to have to come back and change them again. You can always decide to have a look at this particular transaction. So we've got cost of goods sold. I'm going to clear that filter there, find transactions. We've got skydiving lessons as a cost of goods sold. Perhaps this should be a subcontractor expense instead. We can go ahead and change that to be a subcontractor versus a cost of goods sold. Okay, so reclassifying, quick and easy, can also be dangerous. Aha, one or more cannot be changed because something was out of scope. So in this case, we want to change, want to reclassify the tax code or the account code. Hang on a minute. From cost of goods sold to subcontractors. One or more, turn the tax code. So in this case, there's a limitation. So the way to get around that is to open this up. Because it is an item, we cannot make the change. When it comes to reclassifying, you can only reclassify when you're using categories. You cannot reclassify item details, and that's why it's not allowing me to. If I needed to make that change here, I would delete this line and add it here under subcontractors. Okay? It's always great to see some of the challenges that you might face. I'm going to change, leave without changing. And there you have your reclassify tool. So you can see that it's not going to let you do anything that might break your system or break some other reporting. QuickBooks is going to have your back and make sure that you stay on track. Okay, let's head back to our books of tax and our books review. And jump back here first. And let's talk about that. So we've reconciled the accounts. Each tab has its own template checklist to walk you through the period end activities. And it also provides customizable checklists that you can create to ensure that you've completed all the bookkeeping activities and made all of the adjustments for completion. There's also a client request function. So perhaps you have a transaction where it looks like they've gone to Best Buy and they've spent $8,000 and you think, that might be an asset. I might need to request a copy of that receipt because I don't seem to have it anywhere currently in my system. So you can go ahead and click the client request and go ahead and make a request to the client. That's going to be securely shared with them so that they can securely answer the question without utilizing email or any other method where security is maybe
I think paper receipts are crazy, man. You can lose that so easily. And like I do, and I take pictures of stuff, but I still lose receipts. So like an $8,000 receipt, like I would probably not lose it just because it's a lot of money, but it happens. Like, what are you gonna do? You need like an email or something. Like, email me all of my receipts so that I have a digital copy. This is also why the like Tim Hortons, for example, I don't really go there anymore because they're honestly they've become complete doo doo. But I used to go a lot, and they, if you ordered through their app, they would send you what you ordered as an email receipt, so you don't have to ask them for a receipt. But it's still like kind of crazy how clunky getting receipts for things is. Like you'd think the credit card would just have the info of like everything you paid for, but it's all just like different systems. And I guess then it would be like a monopoly and things would be like more expensive probably. So there are good things and bad things about the way we do it. Whoops. Whoops. Oh my god. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. God damn it.
Be not quite as tight as it is within QBO. Okay, let's head back. Go into our books review. Here we are in our transactions review. You can see that we've got 11 transactions in our bank feed that we might need to review. We can certainly change the timeline to see that we're waiting, maybe for someone else to do it. We don't have any open issues in uncategorized transactions, but we do have some payees without a supplier. So we have a bank charge. We don't really want to put in the payee information, so we're actually okay with that, and we can leave it alone. Okay. We can just ask the client if we wanted to add the payee, or we can just leave it blank. We know what the office expenses. If we recall from earlier on, this was the Staples transaction where we had to make an adjusting entry because it was out by 1 penny. So in that particular case, we would like to add the payee, and we're going to add the payee as Staples and apply that. So that is now resolved. We're happy with the bank charges not having one. We've got a number of undeposited funds that are outstanding that have not yet been cleared. So we'll want to action those transactions and ensure that either they haven't cleared the bank yet, or that perhaps they're in duplicate. Maybe a sales receipt and an invoice was issued for these particular transactions, and we've got some work to do. Unapplied payments will show here, and of course we can add any additional items that we want to. So we can check for personal shareholder loan accounts, review the loan payments. We can add a new one. What is the item? We can say check invoices against sales receipts, right? Maybe that is going to be an active and ongoing situation that we need to do, put any details that we need to, and click save, right? Now it's got its own list. We've got it as a to-do, and we can update the to-do waiting and done as we move through it. Now let's head back on up to the top. What's going to be different if we have the cleanup section selected? Okay. If we're using cleanup, we have some different elements available to us. What we have are a whole new section called setup. So here we've got our company settings that we can review and update if we need to. We can get the report of the balance sheet and profit and loss. And what we have here is the beginning trial balance in QBO. And we've got the beginning statement that we may be provided that was entered in here. So if there's any problems or any amounts that need to be corrected, we can do so right here. Okay. And that can be really helpful where we identify. So what if the bank account balance is actually not 35,578? Maybe it's 33,578.63, right? We're going to need to make an adjustment of that $2,000, and we can decide where we're going to clear that account through and add an adjustment. So there's a lot of extra functionality in this book's review, especially when you're just starting with a file, and maybe there's some setup and some reconciling or some strange elements that require some additional attention by you. So accounts without activity for 90 days, additional accounts, make sure the account has industry specific, check for duplicates, make sure that all the bank accounts are open, because if they're closed, you'll certainly want to tag them as inactive. Okay? So there's our setup tab that is specific to the cleanup. We head back to our monthly situation. Perhaps we have a transaction here. Maybe we want to send a request to our client. How do we do that? We're going to go ahead and click our client request, and we can view all requests in case there are any outstanding. And look at that, we have some. So we've asked for a copy of the truck receipt. We're looking for the bill of sale. We asked for that back in April, and we've requested a copy of the lease agreement back in March, and that has not yet been active or actioned. Okay. If we want to make a new request, go ahead and click add. We put in the name of the request, when it's due. So we'll give them to the end of the month. put in all the details, and you've got lots of space here. You can make this bigger or small as you need to. Maybe you want to share a document with the business owner. Hey, here is a list of accounts receivable, details, outstanding invoices. Are any of these collectible, or should they be written off to bad debts? Be sure that you tog along, notify the client, because that is how the client is going to be made aware. So go ahead and make the share. And that is now going to be added to your client requests, that you can view all the requests. Only you, the pro advisor, can update the status to in progress or completed. The client cannot. The client will get an email asking them to click the link and pop into their QBO to read your request, and then they can answer it within there, and that information will come back to you in the My Accountant section and or available to you in the books review. So let's go back to our books review. And what else are we looking at? So there's our transaction review. Once we've handled all of this and we know that it's looking good and everything is up to date, all of our answers have come back from the business owner, we can move on to our account reconciliation. And we can see that our checking account has been reconciled to May 31st, our Pluto account to December of 2021. We may want to reconcile all these accounts before we proceed, or mark them as inactive because perhaps they're closed. We've got a number of accounts with 0 transactions.
All right, I'm starting to be a little bit confused about like how the pro advisor situation works. Is it like every business owner that buys QuickBooks or that's like thinking about buying QuickBooks has access to like the pro advisors? I don't want to say for free because like this is a lot of work. Like, how does the pro advisor get paid? I'm very confused. Are they like an employee? No, I guess not. I guess they're like the pro advisors kind of running their own business on QuickBooks. But je ne sais pas. I'm gonna have to learn how that works.
And perhaps
I guess I don't really like have to. I'm only really learning this so that I can like put it on my resume and tell people that I learned it. But
they just need to be made inactive. Okay. We have some other balance sheet to reconcile all these accounts before we proceed, or mark them as inactive because perhaps they're closed. We've got a number of accounts with 0 transactions, and perhaps they just need to be made inactive. Okay. We have some other balance sheet accounts that maybe we need to look into. We've got bank loans, common shares, we've got assets, amortization that maybe need to be handled or reconciled. All kinds of activity there. We've got uncleared transactions. So these are all dated 2024. We know that we're working on 2024, or maybe we should still be back in 2022 and apply that. You see that that is going to change the landscape and the number of transactions that we need to look at. Okay. That is going to be helpful. Reconcile the loan accounts. That is a to-do. When we head on over to our final review, maybe there's some unusual or unexpected balances. Here, if we don't have all the answers about the old accounts receivable, here's our last chance to take some action. Maybe we want to edit, void, or delete. Please don't do any of these things until you watch your dates and be sure that you're not going to corrupt a prior period or a closed period. You want the number of transactions that we need to look at. Okay. That is going to be helpful. Reconcile the loan accounts. That is a to-do. When we head on over to our final review, maybe there's some unusual or unexpected balances. Here, if we don't have all the answers about the old accounts receivable, here's our last chance to take some action. Maybe we want to edit, void, or delete. Please don't do any of these things until you watch your dates and be sure that you're not going to corrupt a prior period or a closed period. Action all of that, and then head on over to your wrap-up section. Prepare the reports, send the report package to your client, and then close and lock the books, right? That ends the month end, and then you can be ready to set up for the next month. Your additional items here, maybe you need to book a Zoom call or a Teams meeting with your client. Maybe you need to assign the work to another team member. Away you go. And that is how you handle or use your monthly books review process, right? Once you've used it once or twice, you can see how helpful it's going to be. You'll get into a routine, and we don't have to rely on our memories to ensure that everything gets taken care of, because we've been walked through this happy little system to ensure that it all gets done, including sending the report to our client.
Happy little clouds, happy little trees. Right there. Is that guy Bob Ross or something? Happy little clouds. Happy little taxes. Sales tax. Let's see it. Gotta see it to believe it.
Reconciling the sales tax return is the first step before you prepare and file the sales tax return. So here we're looking at the sales tax center. You can see highlighted here, it's also in the same section as the payroll tax. We're going to select our sales tax page. And at the top here, you're going to notice that we've got our GST, our HST Kanban card. As well, this business is also registered for BC PST. you can see that the current period that needs to be filed is January to March, so the first quarter of 2024. And for the PST, it's the second quarter. So there's our information, shows our current status as well as our current liability amount for that period. Okay. As we move along, we can see that we've got a managed sales tax. We're going to ignore that for now because we're in the reconciling the sales tax return mode. We move down to the bottom half of the screen. We've got a filing section. So we've got a component here of what needs to be filed, what is next to file, what is filed and paid. We can filter by any one of these elements here. If we move along, we've got a payments tab. So if we were to click the payments tab, we would see all the payments that we have made as far back as we've been using the software. We move along over to the right, we can create a new installment payment, or we can record a new penalties and interest penalty. We've got a report section. When we expand that, we've got 4 reports at our fingertips that we're going to want to reconcile. We're going to want to review each of these reports to look for accuracy, to look for discrepancy, to confirm that the information has been properly recorded in QBO and that we are in fact ready to reconcile, prepare, and file the return. Once we have reviewed all of the reports, we can go ahead and prepare the return right here in the lower left-hand section. So the first step before we file the return, we talked about reconciling it. So the first thing that we want to do is review all those reports for accuracy, the 4 here that are showing. View our summary, view our GST, HST detail, view our exception details in case there are any, and to view the transactions by tax code. Someone might have slipped in an incorrect tax code. Maybe they've recorded a GST instead of an HST or an out of scope. We want to be sure that we are reviewing all of the transactions to be sure that we're filing this correctly the first time. Sometimes we'll want to export these reports and keep them somewhere else outside of QBO, just as a secondary measure, should we ever be called for GST examination or audit. Once we have fully reconciled and validated that all the numbers are correct, that our profit and loss matches our GST summary and our balance sheet control accounts match also to the return detail, we're going to go ahead and prepare. So one of the things that we're going to look at, and we're going to get onto that in the next page, is making sure that our total revenue matches the total sales reported on line 101, because there are a couple of reasons that won't match, and we're definitely going to want to examine that. Let's move on and look at the sales tax form. After we review those reports, we're going to prepare our draft returns. So we're going to click that prepare return button. That's going to pop up this happy little window that's going to show all the information that we need in order to file a return. We've got our filing period, our start date, our end date, our filing date. This is our GST 62 form. So our sales and other revenue, our line 101, must match our profit and loss total revenue. You can see in this case it does. We've got our total revenue at $58,272.52, and we've got our total income showing on our profit and loss for the same period at $58,272.52. Sometimes those numbers won't match. The first thing that I would ask you to check is the date range on the profit and loss. Oftentimes you'll have a different default reporting period in your profit and loss, and that can often explain the discrepancy between those two numbers. That's the first place to look. The second place to look is our ProAdvisor tip right here. So in the case where those numbers don't match, what we recommend that you do is run the report or click into the hyperlink detail to run the total income, add the tax code column and the tax amount, so that that might help you identify and resolve a discrepancy. There may be a sale or an income or an invoice showing up in the services that's been coded out of scope in error, and that will affect the amount that is pulled from your data into your sales tax return. What do I mean by that? Out of scope sales tax code is a QBO code exclusively. And what happens is anything that is recorded as out of scope, whether it's on an income or an expense item, if it's been coded as out of scope, it will be excluded from our sales tax return. And of course, that could cause problems, especially when we're talking about reporting revenue. Okay. So these are the elements that we want to confirm and make sure that they are correct. We're also going to open up the balance sheet to ensure that the amount owing.
So run total income report with tax amount and tax code columns. Okay. Because it'll exclude the revenue even though it was included, even though it should be included in the sales tax return.
The balance here, this 1378.34, does match with our balance sheet items.
Okay.
Sometimes there are problems that arise. There can be an adjustment that needs to be recorded. In the case of if we wanted to adjust the HST collectible, so perhaps this 1845.04 is not the correct amount, we can go ahead and change or make an adjustment by clicking the adjust button and pulling up the pop-out window. More often, you're going to adjust the input tax credits, and perhaps you're going to adjust the ITCs as it relates to a meals and entertainment amount, and you'll want to update that information. In that case, you would click the adjust button, go ahead and choose the tax rate, and then you can code the adjustment account to that meals and entertainment account, the adjustment, and then put in your memo line before you click save, right? The adjustment is then shown in your general ledger as a general journal entry. That's a tongue twister for me today. In the related section of the GST, HST, and or the PST detailed report, depending on which sales tax return you are in fact filing. Okay. So when we are ready to reconcile and file the return, just to recap, we want to review all the sales tax reports to validate and update as needed to the tax codes and or amounts. We're going to reconcile the total revenue, tax collected on sale, and the tax paid on purchases amounts to our profit and loss, as well as our balance sheet. Then we'll go ahead and...
Okay, hold on. Review all sales tax reports to validate the tax code and amounts. Makes sense. reconcile total revenue, tax collected on sales, and tax paid on purchases, prepare the return, print and export, mark as filed. Still need to file the return.
Prepare the return, for print or export it, so you want to save it, and then you're going to mark it as filed. Now, please note that marking it as filed is a filing feature or function within our QBO that does not actually file it with the CRA. You will still need to file the return with the CRA. So let's bring this to life. Let's jump into a demo. I'm going to reconcile and prepare a sales tax return, show you how to record the payment or the refund, and then how to undo a sales tax return, because sometimes we need to do that. Let's head on over to our Sky Training Systems. We're going to jump down to our Taxes Center and choose our sales tax page.
Let me see if
you can see
do this in my sample company. Sales tax. Filing. To file. Prepare return. Filing date. Oh, weird. Oh, okay, quarterly. I guess this might be when the business started. Just here, HST collectible. Sales. Well, it's set to check the income. Check the sales revenue to see if there were any exclusions. Total input tax credits. Oh my goodness. Why is it doing that? Let's adjust input tax credits just for fun. Account. So I did add stuff to probably meals and entertainment would make sense. But I did make it a 6.5. Yeah. I'll have to manually add the adjustment. Okay. Let me see how she do it. Where the hell? Oh.
That our current period is April to June of 2024, and the system is currently showing a liability or an HST amount due of $532.05. If we expand that, we can see the detail showing the amount collected on sales, the amount paid on purchases, and of course the net tax amount. As we move down into the filing section, we can see that we've got a to file, which is the current one. And if we look back at the filed returns, we can see that there have been a number of returns filed all the way back to 2020. If at any time we wanted to go and review something from a previous period, so say, for example, the same period back in 2022, we could go ahead and view the summary, and that information is going to show up. So we can see our total revenue, our line 101, our tax collected, our ITCs, and the net amount, right? You can see there's no installments in this case. Go ahead and click done. So we can view that at any time. We can also look at exception details, undo the filing, which we'll talk about in a minute, and there are all our additional menu options of what we might like to see. If we hit our payments tab, we can see all the payments, refunds, and or installments that have been made. Click done. So we can view that at any time. We can also look at exception details, undo the filing, which we'll talk about in a minute, tax collected, our ITCs, and the net amount, right? You can see and that information. As we move down into the filing section, we can see that we've got a to file, which is the current one. And if we look back at the filed returns, we can see that there have been a number of returns filed all the way back to 2020. If at any time we wanted to go and review something from a previous period, so say, for example, the same period back in 2022, we could go ahead and view the summary, and that information is going to show up. So we can see our total revenue, our line 101, our tax collected, our ITCs, and the net amount, right? You can see there's no installments in this case. Go ahead and click done. So we can view that at any time. We can also look at exception details, undo the filing, which we'll talk about in a minute, and there are all our additional menu options of what we might like to see. If we hit our payments tab, we can see all the payments, refunds, and or installments that have been made on this particular data set. And if we head back to our filings, if we need to make a new installment, we can access that here. If we've been charged an interest or penalty due to late filing, we can record that here. But first things first, let's go ahead and reconcile our sales tax return. We're going to start with our reports. We're going to have a look at our sales tax summary. It's going to show our exempt amounts, our HST on purchases, HST on sales, and then our corresponding GST amounts. These are all the.
Oh my God. Kitty is tripping on my cable. You almost beheaded yourself. Yeah, that was that was our tax due, but we want to view the detail, I believe. Oh, is this all of the expenses? Or like all of the HST collected? What? Why are these different? The tax rate is interesting. So that, maybe I need to adjust that. Because it should, oh, that's just an invoice. It hasn't been paid. Also, why are the expenses, oh, expenses are input tax credits. And an invoice is collected or collectible. Do you include collectible? That doesn't really make sense. You would only want to include the collected amount, right? Collected or collected. Total for line 103. Yeah, and then input tax credits. Oh, I see. So we only had only one person paid us, and we collected $1,000 of HST from them. And then our input tax credits are all the money that we spent. So yeah, okay. A bunch of utilities and some other stuff. You guys still can't see us. This cat's kind of crazy. Dude. You're making this very hard for me. Okay, goodbye. Okay. Excuse me. Back. Reports. Ooh, whoa. Transactions by tax code. That'll do. That'll help. I think that's what I wanted. Exempt. Aha. Those are interest on loan and principal. So those are expenses. Oh joy. To pay for being a student when I'm not even a student. That's fun. Well, I am, but $700 that I don't have. Okay, back to this. So, taxable amount. What are these? Oh, rent, memo description, account, rent, utilities, insurance, billable expenses, income. See, okay, wait. These are negatives. This is so confusing. Oh, okay, it's plus minus, and then it just gives you the result. I see. I understand. Je comprends. All right, let's go back to the training video. Where was it? What?
The summaries, there's the net and the tax amount, MST on per tax return. We're going to start with our reports. We're going to have a look at our sales tax summary. It's going to show our exempt amounts, our HST on purchases, HST on sales, and then our corresponding GST amounts. These are all the summaries. There's the net and the tax amount. Go back to our tax center. We'll want to have a look at any transactions without sales tax. So we've got a transfer, a sales tax payment, deposits. So that makes sense. Paychecks. These transactions definitely appear that there should not be any sales tax coded to them. If you're unsure, you can always open up the transaction and have a look at it. So this is a time charge. So absolutely, there's not going to be an HST or GST component on it. On a paycheck, we know that. And what about this deposit from the particular client? Let's have a look. And we can see in this particular case, we scroll down to the bottom, this is deferred income. So it's a client deposit and it has been recorded as out of scope of sales. And we know that that is accurate. So we can go ahead and close that transaction. We have confirmed that all the transactions without sales tax are in fact correct. Head back to our reports, go back to our transactions by tax code. Again, we'll want to confirm that all of the tax amounts are here. You can see that this report is grouped by the tax code. So there are our exempt items, our GST, PST, HST, etc. We'll go through line by line, have a look-see to make sure that that's correct, and then head back to our sales tax center. Once we've looked at all those reports, the last one here is very important. We want to look at our profit and loss.
I don't like how on earth would you audit a company like Google with probably billions of transactions a day? How do you do that? Like, because there's money coming in from ads, there's money going out. This seems crazy. I can't even comprehend how you would audit something like that.
And confirm that the amount of the 25,881 is going to be the same as, let's head back into our sales tax, going to be the same as the line 101 on our HST return. So we've reviewed all of our reports. We haven't found any discrepancies. That means that we are ready to go ahead and prepare our return. So we're going to click that button and have a look. The very first element, quarterly filing. There is our quarter, April to June. We're going to file it today on July 16. And the first line that we're presented with is line 101, showing a total revenue of 25,881.83. When we have a look at our profit and loss for that same period, we can see that that amount matches. Now, if it didn't, what we would do would be to expand the total revenue, where all of those revenue items are going to show, and we're going to customize that report, change the rows and columns.
Why is
What
it
we're going to want to add
out?
is a tax code and run that report.
So distracting.
Okay. There we go. Now we're looking at April to June. We're going to add that tax code column to see if we can identify any elements that perhaps have been incorrectly coded. So we can see we've got our HST, GST, we've got PST, et cetera, et cetera. If there was a discrepancy between the amount in our profit and loss and our line 101, this is where we would look first to resolve it. It's still a great practice when you're looking at your profit and loss. Let's head back to our sales tax report, that we want to go ahead and check those numbers as well. The other element that I mentioned is we're going to want to look at our balance sheet to ensure that that amount is correct as well. We'll need to change the date range to last fiscal quarter. There we go. So now we're looking at April to June. Scroll down to our GST section, and we can see that the GST liability owing here is also 532.05, so that amount matches. The suspense account shows if perhaps you've got a previously filed return where you're waiting for a refund or waiting to make a payment, or this account will also host any installment payments that you may have made towards a current HST filing period. Let's head back to our GST HST return.
Very nice.
We can see we've reconciled our line 101, we've reconciled our net tax owing, and we could always look at what elements or what transactions comprise our HST or GST collected on sales. They're all listed here for us, as well as the tax code. So that is another way that you can validate or search for any problems or discrepancies. Once we've confirmed everything is correct, we can go ahead, print this, export it, make sure that we save it, and then go ahead and mark as filed. Now, a good habit to get into is when you mark this as filed, please note that this is going to mark the return as filed and close the books for this particular period. So as this gets closed for the HST period, I always recommend that you actually close the books as well for this period. And that can help ensure that no transactions are changed, deleted, or added to a closed HST return. But if it's necessary, please be confident to know that the transaction will show up in a future exception report, so that if something does for chance need to get added or is changed, that's not going to be excluded from your HST filing. It will push forward into the next date range or into the next filing. We can go ahead and continue. In this case, we could record the payment now because we know that the return was up to the end of June, today being July 16. We may want to record the payment right away. If we record it as pay later, it's going to show up in our suspense account. So first, I'm going to say record payment. You can tell the system where you want to pay the amount from. In this case, I'm going to pay it from my HST account. I'm going to pay it on today's date, and I'm going to record it that way. If I needed to add any interest or penalty, I could do so and put it to my interest and penalty account and put in the amount. But in this case, there isn't any interest or penalty, and I can simply go ahead and record the payment. Now, we record the payment here so that when we are looking at our bank feeds in the future, that is going to automatically match because we recorded the payment within our sales tax module. That is going to be very important. Now, let's go and have a look and see what our reports look like. We know that if we forward date our balance sheet or refresh our balance sheet, where are we going here? Let's run the report. We can just validate that now, at the end of June, we no longer have a liability of owing the HST. We've recorded the payment to the HST, right? And that's where that's going to show up. It will match up with in our bank feed, and away we go. Now, what happens if we've discovered that we've missed a number of sales or we've missed a number of transactions in June, we haven't yet filed this HST return with the government, and we want to undo it? Well, we're going to go back to our sales tax center, and we're going to go to that filed return. We're going to select our drop-down menu, and we're going to undo that filing. So heads up, if you go back and undo it, it's not going to affect anything that you've done outside of QBO, right? Now, and keep in mind, because we've already recorded a payment, they're going to automatically apply it next time you mark this as filed. So that's a potential problem. So first, let's undo the filing. Second, let's go to our payments and undo that payment because we haven't actually paid it to the government and we've recorded it in error. So we're going to go ahead and delete that payment. Okay, and now we can start fresh. If there's more transactions that we need to record, maybe there's more sales invoices that need to be added, perhaps there's additional expenses or ITCs to be reported, we can go ahead and post into that period because it's open again. And then when we come back, when we're ready, we will go back and review and reconcile all the reports, make sure that everything is correct, and then resume preparing the return one more time. And I would expect it's going to be in a future date because we can't do it again today. There's not going to be enough time. And that is your sales tax center, how you're going to reconcile, match it up, making sure that QBO is all connected in the right way. And it's just another opportunity to ensure the importance or to stress the importance of making sure that you're using the correct tax codes in each of the transactions as you're going through the day-to-day bookkeeping. If you're using your day-to-day bookkeeping correct and using all the correct tax codes, the reconcile is going to be very straightforward and move you into the prepare and file the return ever so quickly.
Don't think that fixed my problem. Okay, that was fun. Filing taxes. What's next? I think I really hope this is the last one because I don't have much brain space left, and I also just want to be done. So we're gonna blast through this.
Using the budgets function of your QBO product can be a great way to help keep on track, measure performance. Are you ahead? Are you behind? Are you on track with your expectations for the year? And we've got a few bullets here that I just want to recap and talk about the budgets overview before we get into creating an actual budget together. So first things first, do know that it is available with the plus and advanced subscription levels. And in order to access, you must have either admin or a custom user access setting. So it's not going to be defaulted. Not everybody's going to have access to the budgets, but access can be provided or granted. Budgets themselves can be uploaded using the Excel template. So you don't necessarily have to go in line by line, month to month or year to year, year over year, and enter in each number in a painstaking process in your QBO product. You can upload directly using the Excel template provided. You can duplicate a budget. So perhaps you've got a budget that you really like and you want to do use it again for next year. You can duplicate it, you can edit it, you can delete it. Maybe you made one by mistake, you want to get it off the list, go ahead and delete it. Perhaps you've edited something, you can update it. Maybe you want to update your budget at the middle of the year. If you've got a calendar year, you create the budget in November, and by June of next year, you might want to update it because there's been perhaps some surprise revenue that's shown up, maybe some expenses that have been discontinued, but you might need to update it, and you can absolutely do that in a year. Now, a fun fact, you can subdivide your budget. Maybe you want to divide it by location, class, or customer. Please know that location and class as it relates to your budgets are going to be discussed in the advanced certification webinar. So I'm just letting you know here, and know that the rest of the detail on how to do so is going to be in the next webinar. Let's move on. Let's talk about the overview. 2 access points, 2 ways to get to your budgeting, either from your gear icon and budgeting from your tools column, or you can navigate directly from your navigation window. There is a budget center that will take you straight into your budgets. Let's talk about the reporting options. Only 2 options. That makes it easy. If there's only 2 reporting options, not going to be too tough to find the one you want. The first is the budget overview. So that is a report on the actual budget that you've created. And then secondly, you
budget versus actuals equals the coolest slay version of budgeting, in my opinion.
can run your budget versus actuals report. And that's where the value comes in. You've created the budget. How does your actual performance compare as it relates to your plans? Okay. You can import your budget or you can create one from scratch. Whichever way you want to go, you can do so. If you've got a number of old budgets, your business may have been running or operating for years. You don't want to delete all those old budgets. You may want to go back to them or compare the budget to actuals over time, but you don't necessarily want it clogging up your report list. So you may want to hide those archived budgets. Here is our grid view. So we've got the name of our budget, the type of budget, including whether or not it's subdivided, when it was last changed, and then you've got your action column where you can view and edit, or you can run your budget to actuals report. Okay. Let's bring it to life. Let's jump in and have a look at the budgets together. Here we are in our Sky Training Systems. We mentioned you can access your budgets from your tools section right here, or you can access directly from your navigation window or your navigation menu and click budgets. You can see that we've got a number of budgets available to us. There is some pop-up information, so you can absolutely learn more if you want. I'm going to get that out of our way. You can see that we do have 3 budgets created. We've got a budget for the current fiscal year, which ends in 2025. And we've got a second budget that is subdivided by customer. So the order of activity here was we had a budget, then we created a new one, we duplicated it, and created a second budget for actually designs for this particular customer. Okay, so let's have a look first at our standard budget for the upcoming fiscal year. First things first, we have the name of the budget, and it was created by comparing to the actual year-to-date profit and loss information. You can see that we've got the opportunity to view it yearly, quarterly, or monthly, whichever way is going to be your preference for running it. Monthly is very common, although there are many businesses that will operate their budget quarterly. For this particular example, we're going to go with monthly. We have batch actions available to us, where we want to copy the reference data or clear it, and some additional information here about the batch actions. We can look down and see we've got billable expense income, bookkeeping, consulting, lessons, revenue, et cetera, et cetera. We can decide how we're going to run that information. So we've got our actuals here. If we've got some services, perhaps we want to go ahead and spread it out. So if we're looking at the actuals year to date is 25,000. When we look at the budget total, year to date, we're only partly way through the year. Let's say our budget total for the year is going to be 75,000. We can click this button to split the total across the row. What happens? Well, it's going to take that 75,000 and split it by 12.
One second. BRB, camera died. Gotta fix this. Of course, it's completely out of focus and not zoomed in. I wish there was a way to like default settings. Like as soon as I turn the camera back on, it's the same thing as it was before. That would be the best. And we're back.
And put in $62.50 per month. Isn't that a fantastic way to split up the information? We can, when we look at the budget total, year to date, we're only partly way through the year. Let's say our budget total for the year is going to be 75,000. We can click this button to split the total across the row. What happens? Well, it's going to take that 75,000 and split it by 12 and put in $62.50 per month. Isn't that a fantastic way to split up the information? Similarly, if we wanted to look at 3,000 here, what if we don't want to split it out across the row? Maybe we're just expecting it to be in a few months. So maybe that lessons revenue is only going to start with the first month. We want to copy it down. Then we expect in July that number is going to increase. And we're going to copy that across the rest of the row. So you can see how as I've made the changes, the annual budget has updated. Okay? So that is as quick and as easy that you can take care of updating your information. And if you don't want to see any of the 0 rows, you absolutely have that opportunity to go ahead and hide those. Okay? So what do we want to do next? Let's look at our gear icon. Here's our hide empty rows. So auto save, super important. If you're working through your budget, you're going to want to save it as you go along. You wouldn't want to take the chance of losing something. You can hide your empty rows and apply that. Right? So after you've gone through and ensured that you've set up budget amounts in each of the expenses and revenue items that are going to be important to you, that's a good time to hide the rows. When you're creating it, it might be a better idea to leave it all open in order to see what is going on. Your business software, we might need to add an amount in there, spread it out. Our auto fuel, we want to add an amount in there, and you can see how quick and easy this information is going to be. Okay, you're going to want to complete everything.
$200.
And then you go ahead and save.
That's funny. You're like 200 a month.
Did it make it easy? Well, I thought it made it easy to make a budget, so I'm going to just submit that and carry on with our example. We have our drop-down menu where we can save it, continue to work on it, or we can save and close it because we are finished working on it for right now. We can export it to Excel, or we can print and save it to a PDF. Okay? We can also change the name if we decide that, you know what, maybe we don't like those underlines and we'd rather just have spaces. We can go ahead and do that. Click Save, and go ahead and close that budget. Okay? So now we've updated that budget. It was last modified today.
Okay. I feel obligated to try this, so let us obligate ourselves. All apps. You said gear icon. Budget. Create budget. 20, sure, why not 2026? Profit and loss. Consolidated is fine. Do I want to fill in the actuals? Yeah, why not? Create a custom budget from scratch. Let's do that. Very nice. Sales. Sales of product income. So if I did like, say we averaged 3,000 for the rest of the year, and it'll update. Very nice. And if we go to, we gotta have rent somewhere. There it is. This is easy. That should be the same every month. Rent early. I don't. Okay. Repair and maintenance. So office expenses, professional fees. Maybe you pay like 1,000 in the summer or something. This is kind of nice. Travel. I thought there was travel expenses. Maybe they just haven't been categorized properly. Oh, that's cool. Mess around with this.
Okay. And if we wanted to go back in time, let's look at this 2023. Let's run our budget versus actual reports to see what that looks like. You can see you've got a few elements here where you can customize the report. We can see that it runs for the fiscal ending 2023. We can show active rows. Maybe we just want to look at all the non-zeros because we don't need to clutter up our lives with a bunch of elements that are zero. So we want to have the dollar value. We could have the dollar value remaining and run that report. So here's what we're looking at. Our actual service revenue is 13,000. We had zero budget for it, so we are over budget, which is a good thing. We certainly brought in more revenue than expected. We can scroll down, see our payroll. We didn't have a budget for payroll, but we did have payroll expenses. Okay? That is how we can run this report and have a look to see how it's going to work. If we want to customize, there's the ability to get rid of the pennies. We can divide by 1,000 if this is going to be a large budget. Show in red if there's anything that we want to call to our attention. That can certainly make it helpful if our negative numbers are showing in red. And we can also reduce the grid to show only accounts with budgeted amounts. So lots of opportunity here to just update, customize a little bit, filter out accounts that you want to include or exclude, and or update your header information, right? Your date prepared, time prepared, report basis, etc. Whether the header's in the center, left, or right, go ahead and run that report. Now we've got all of our red that's really going to call our attention. We can go ahead and save that customization. Oh, save customization. So it gets upset about some of this information. So let's say budget 2023 versus actuals. We'll go ahead and save that report. Now we've saved it successfully. If we wanted to go back now and go to our budgets, and we were interested in importing a budget, what we're going to want to do is tell it what type. Got our question mark here, so we want to plan our budget around our profit and loss, select our time frame. So you see that we can forecast into the future if we want. If we want to start our 2026, we can absolutely do that. If it's consolidated, we want an organization level financial plan, or if we want to subdivide it, we can subdivide it based on location, class, department, or customers. In this case, I'm going to leave it as consolidated. I'm going to go next, and here's where I'm going to upload my budget. Please be sure that you download the template and try that first. Have a look to see what that's going to look like so that you can import it correctly. Okay, I'm going to drag this over. There it is. Let's make that big. And so there's your budget template so that you can use this template to get your data into a format that QuickBooks understands. There's the instruction. These are our guidelines. Then we've got our consolidated amount here. You can enter in all your numbers. This can be helpful if you've got an existing budget that you've exported and you want to increase it by a percentage. You can go ahead and do that here and then save it and then import that budget back into your software here, upload it, and then go ahead and click next and follow with the prompts. So that is your budgeting.
Fair enough.
Cancel this particular import. And so feel free, have some fun, create a budget from scratch if you like. You can pre-fill the data with prior years if you want to. Excuse me. Go ahead and click next.
I guess I could just like do it for myself or like my house, I guess.
Budget can be prepared in a matter of seconds, right? Just like that. Go ahead and make your modifications, change the name if you want, decide if maybe you want quarterly instead this time, save it, and away you go. Budgets can be fun, they can be really valuable, and I'd certainly encourage you to use them for you and your customers. Let's head back and let's give you a few tips. So when you're creating that first budget, use a previous fiscal actuals, and then export the budget to Excel, update those amounts using your formulas, and then import that brand new budget and save it with a new name. So that's a great practice, and that's the element that I've just walked through with the demonstration for you. So that is all that you need to know to get started with budgets. Have fun with it. You can always use your sample data if you want to play around, but do know that any budget you create can be deleted. So I would encourage you to create budgets within your client data files.
Oh, true. Yeah, you can input the actuals for like the month, then download it, and then just like mess around in Excel because it's a bit more, it's a bit stronger. This is the last lesson. Yay. We're done, boys and girls. Yay. Let's go. Okay, now I have to do the exam. Maybe I will download. Boom, baby. completed. I'm honestly kind of worried about the exam. When you pass the exam, you unlock even more ways. Just to grow your practice, like does this thing I think is assuming that I'm already bookkeeping for people when I'm not. But that's okay. Everybody had to start somewhere. And maybe I will find a client or two that want me to help them out. But again, this will go on the resume. Okay, I think you can see how I'm feeling right now. I'm like sunken into the chair. I think I'm done for now. As you can see, it's getting dark, so I might go outside and enjoy the little sunlight that's left. I spent about like 5 to 6 hours today doing this. I guess it was good. I'm gonna do the exam like tomorrow, I think, or even Thursday. I might be busy tomorrow. Probably Thursday. And then yeah, and then I can put it on my resume and I can be happy, and then there will be something that says QuickBooks on my resume, and then everybody will be like, whoa. And then I'll also download the thing once I'm done the exam, and then I can like attach it to stuff and I can look super cool. So that's the plan. And then after that, after this, I'm gonna start learning a little bit, like maybe like an hour a day of tax cycle. I'm going to be using that at my job, so I might also just do that online, download the software and start messing around with it, kind of situation. We'll see. But thanks for dropping by. I'm gonna skedaddle out of here before it gets too dark. Wow, my camera got dark real fast. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging, thanks for dropping by the stream if you did. I will also have to remind myself to blur the like 1 second that I tabbed over. It is what it is. I'm getting better at this, like, don't dox yourself, but it's a work in progress still. So anyway,